Hey, Facebook and YouTube, what's going on? 9 o'clock on the dot. What do you think of that? I am sending invites to everybody so they can come on in. Feel free to chime in with some comments while I answer some questions before we officially start. Hey,
Hey,
what's going on? Love
nothing
the,
much.
love
Huh?
the sweater. Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. If you hear dogs barking, the puppies are playing, and they
Aw.
might bark at each other.
Howdy, DC Marvel fan guy.
Hi.
Jonathan, what's up? Hello, JR. What's going on, sir?
Hey.
Oh, there's the dog.
Yep, one of them.
Oh.
What's the dog's name?
This is Winston.
Winston.
Yeah.
It's in Winston Zeddemore, the Ghostbuster?
Sort of, but I think his name was. I think he was called after Winston Churchill.
Oh.
We got
no.
it.
I'm
We
gonna
got him from he had his like first family decided he wasn't cute after he was a puppy, gave him to their neighbor, and then that neighbor couldn't take care of him. So now he's here. And
What's
he
up,
gets spoiled.
Ryan? Little homie's
Hi,
back, JR. Little homie mouse, 97.
Oh wait,
Oh,
Ryan.
hey.
Ryan, I got the thing.
Oh,
you.
that's adorable.
Yeah, he made me a little Spider Girl thing.
He
Yay,
made me a few of those. He made me a Miles Morales head. He made me a Spider-Gwen head.
Nice.
And he made me a I've got somewhere. It's Spider-Man and Deadpool in a Spider-Mobile. It's kind of fun.
Nice.
Oh,
Ryan is nursing his knee.
I got
Oh,
one of these.
Oh,
Yeah.
snap. That's
whoa,
awesome.
that's awesome.
Yeah, he did that for me. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you clogged up, JR?
I'm tired. I had a long,
Yeah.
I've had a long day today.
Yeah. Ryan's working on one for Chi-Town, looks like.
Hmm.
Hope you're doing okay, Ryan, says DC Marvel fan.
Yeah.
Citro says, sweet, JR. Yep, we are.
Sweet.
We're practicing social distancing through the internet.
Yes. Yes.
I was about to say, wait a minute. We're rather like. Where's the rest of the gang?
I don't know. They've got invites.
Oh,
So let me.
I was about to say they better show up because I ain't.
You're not, it's actually Javi and Kelly are going to review the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So I've got one. I've got 840.
yeah, I meant to pull up my Comixology so I can get the cover and show people. Oh, I'm going to sneeze. I couldn't hit the mute button quick enough.
All right. Bless you.
Oh, great!
you.
Here we are in the middle
Bless
of
you.
a plague, and you're out there spreading.
So
Gee
sorry.
whiz, spreading virtual germs.
I know. I'd hopefully have AVG or something like that. I just heard a beep. Someone's in the room. Who can it be? Who can you guys see?
Let's see.
It would be Neil. What's up, Neil?
Hi, Neil.
How you, buddy?
I'm doing good. Oh, I'm
Say
trying to do
yeah.
my best. I'm trying to do my best mic impression from Murder Media. It failed horribly.
I don't know what that was, but glad to see
Yeah.
you.
Okay. It's
I
not
tried.
super dark this time.
Oh, no. Were you expecting that?
Yes. And
Oh,
you would at
okay.
least move once.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
No, I'm stuck in this office now. I have two screens. Wow, two.
That's good.
Too.
See that, JR? I'm catching up with you, buddy.
Oh, two screens.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this one here I'm looking at dates to 2007, so
Holy
it's
cow!
got a little age on it.
Time to upgrade.
Just like me.
Is it a CRT monitor? Is it like a big fat monitor? Or?
No, it was computer I bought. I mean, the desktop is rather large, but now it was a computer for my daughter. I bought my daughter back in 2007, and of course she moved on to bigger and better things and bought herself an Apple and everything like that.
I often do see you look over at that
This
other
still
monitor.
works.
I often.
Well, that's where I read all the comments. That's where I read
Do
everybody's
you look
comments.
at what are you looking at on this view? Is it the
I'm looking
the
at you
broadcast
guys.
studio? Can you
Yeah,
see
I'm
the
looking at you
comments over
guys.
on the right when they come in?
No, I just see like in the private chat, but I don't see the. Oh wait a minute, live comments.
Yeah, if you click on the very
Hey,
top.
wow, there
Yeah.
are live comments.
Yeah, that's,
Wow.
you don't have to do private chat. You can see them as they come in.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You just
We-
can't answer
I
them
didn't
though.
know.
Today's stream Operation Old Man Bewildered by New Advances in Technology.
Wow.
Venkman
That's
says to do the vampire
Yep.
cough. Yep.
JR, it's a compliment. It's meant to be endearing.
Oh, of course.
Ryan is casting us on his big screen TV. That's nice.
Nice.
Adam is watching us on his TV.
Is Zach going to be watching us on his big screen?
Doing
TV?
research for my Bigo music podcast. Oh, cool.
Oh,
What the
nice.
hell is a bigo?
I don't
it
know.
sounds like some kind of vegetarian thing. You're not
Yeah.
vegetarian, are you, little mouse or little homie?
little mouse, I'm going to kill you.
Little mouse, you just like cheese or you like meat?
Okay, so I looked it up. Bigo is a leading mobile live streaming community to show your talents and interesting people.
Oh.
Got it.
Oh, I see. Oh, Satharos.
So it's this, but worse.
There's your answer, Satharos, right there.
Yeah.
JR, do you own a Funko Pop? Yes, he does, doesn't he?
Yes, I remember, and I bought. Actually, I bought a couple of them.
Hey, did yours come with a glider? I wanted to get the one with the glider.
No, mine didn't come with a glider.
The glider's like a Comic-Con exclusive or something.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Walgreens and they had a couple of them, and so I picked them up. And
Yep, here's mine.
and the clerk looked at me and he went, "Well, he's the bad guy," and I couldn't even spare him a look of
Good.
withering disdain. I was so disgusted.
They made
There
a,
we go.
they made a Hobgoblin one, but it's just a repaint. It's not like a
Yeah.
totally new figure. Hey, Javi, what's up?
How are you
Hey,
guys?
Javi.
We were showing
Hey,
off
Kelly.
Funko Pops. Someone
Oh,
asked JR if
nice.
you have the Goblin one.
Aw, I want a
I-
goblin one.
I don't have a goblin one.
He's really top heavy, so he comes with a little stand.
Yeah, and he doesn't. He doesn't fit on his stand that I have here, so he's.
JR, you should get this one. This one's the first appearance. It's got web pits and the older looking costume.
That one is pretty
Oh,
dope.
that one.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
Hobby got me that one. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
love that one.
Yeah, I got Spencer. The Future Foundation one,
Mhm.
and it was one of. I think that was. I don't know if that was. I think that was a Walgreens exclusive. But I was in Walgreens, and that thing just like literally stood out. I said,
Yeah.
"Oh man, I gotta get that.
Gotta get them.
I
So I've been-
gotta get."
Cleaning the spider office, and Kelly, you probably don't like this one, but I was
Oh,
at
is it
Chicago
Doc
Comic
Ock?
Con. It's what?
So is it Doc Ock?
No, it's not. So my daughter was like 3, and I was going to bring her home something from the convention, and I saw this.
Yeah.
I know you don't like the
Oh.
Spider Girl.
Oh my god!
She thought it was cool.
I mean, technically that is Mayday, and it's
Yeah.
from something that did not take off, like
Yeah.
some kids.
I also,
but I think it's so
No, it's
funny.
from Spider-Man and Friends.
I also
Yeah.
found this when she was teething. She used to bite on this.
Aw.
So, is that Zach down there? Where you been? It's 10 minutes late.
Hey.
Spidey the dude.
Hey,
You got a message from Sarah, but
Hi, Sarah.
Oh.
I
Hi, Sarah.
hey,
You-
Sarah.
What the message was? Get me out of here. Is that it? She's in distress.
Aw.
Zach
She's
is
one-
using my
she
laptop.
wants
I
that with
decided to
Spokane.
randomly update. Give him like 3 to 5 minutes. Oh, I just read it. Sorry.
yeah, it was. So I'm broadcasting live from El Paso.
Okay.
I think all I have to do is broadcast from Brownsville, and I've officially covered almost every corner of Texas.
All the state. Hey, do you have your mic with you? I can barely hear you.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that if I use the mic, I can't hear because there's only one port.
Oh.
So,
Hi, kitty.
Oh no, it's
Oh,
it's
that's
a
a dog.
puppy.
Oh, with the dog.
Although apparently it is National Pet Day.
Citrus wants to
So-
know what the heck are those coming out of her hair? Those are pigtails.
Yes.
Those are
they're-
pigtails.
it's technically hair.
Oh, and I found my Spider-Girl statue, Kelly. Here,
Yay!
I'll full
Yeah.
screen. It's right above the toilet paper, right there.
Yay! You can kind of tell.
What a quote! It's right above the toilet paper, Kelly. I think a lot of it.
It's a speculator value. You sell on the
Yes.
aftermarket.
Yes.
I have to ask Venkman. I mean, Venkman.
Where's
Usually, people have movies. Easter tradition. It's like the Ten Commandments or something. What makes Star Trek the motion picture an Easter picture? I don't quite get that one.
It's
Where
cerebral.
did
and it
Venkman
talks
say
about
that?
religion.
Oh, there he is. I don't know. Maybe V'ger's reborn from a satellite to a.
That's what I was saying. Is that it
Yeah.
talked about like I guess religious themes of like transcendence.
Oh,
I
I never got that. I just thought it was cool because
JR
Spock was in it.
JR fell asleep.
the sound.
Oh.
I like the sound the Klingons make when they bomb V'ger.
Spidey guards DP. Yes, that's right.
That
Winston,
weird
Spider Dog.
Spider dog.
Hi, Zach. Goodbye, Zach. Blink twice for help, Sarah.
Aww.
What do you guys think of the PS5 controller? It looks kind of like the old one.
I have
kind of-
feelings about it.
It
What are your
looks
feelings?
like Doc Ock designed it. It's got like that white
90s Doc
carbon
Ock.
fiber.
Larson
advanced suit.
intensifies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. What the heck happened to Zach? He was just here.
No.
I don't know. Where did that
DC
go?
Marvel fan guy says, JR to the store clerk, I offered your friendship and you spat in my face.
You gotta say that. You gotta
Aw.
say that. You gotta say it in the Willem Dafoe voice.
Yeah, go ahead,
I offered
JR.
you friendship and you spat in my face.
I
Here comes
offered you
Zach.
friendship, and you spat in my face.
Funko
Aw.
Norman doesn't stand up worth a damn.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep. Zach, where are you, sir?
He's in the void.
Oh
Looks
no.
like he's got a big symbiote over him.
Uh
All black.
Adam says he can't take another generation of consoles. I
Can y'all-
kind of. Oh,
I don't
is he-
know. If it comes with PS5 Spidey, I'll take it.
I'm probably gonna buy the Series X.
Oh.
Either that or stick to PC.
Sarah says his laptop wasn't working with his mic or her laptop.
Ah.
He's sitting on his
Technical.
iPad.
Oh, that's gonna be even the mic quality. in this
Somebody
instance.
got the YouTube on because I'm hearing an echo.
No.
Okay.
No.
Work on my headset.
Hang on. Let's do a mic test. Is it echoing from me or?
No.
Wait,
How about
hang
me?
on.
Yep, I just heard myself. Let me turn my.
Hang on. It might have been on my end because my headset was kind of sticking out a little.
Okay.
Try now. Someone say thing.
Say thing.
Something.
Well, I don't think it's Zach because he's not in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not in the call. So
JR, other than
Can
Wrath
you
of
guys hear
Khan,
me?
what's your favorite
Good
Star
Lord.
Trek movie?
Can anybody hear me?
yes.
Yeah.
Hi, Zach.
You know, I suppose
the audio is working.
supposedly
I
Star
don't know
Trek
why the
3, I
video's not
think.
working.
Because I used to say 2, 4, and 6 because that seemed the whole, I mean, of course, those were the better movies, but I don't know. 4 seems to have not aged well. Seems kind of, I mean, it's hard to call 4 cheesy. I mean, Star Trek is cheesy by nature.
Yeah.
Are we
But,
talking? Are we talking about just the original films, or are we talking next gen and Abrams films too?
well, we're only talking the original series because that's Star Trek. The rest of it's not. The rest of it's not Star Trek. You know, I mean, if you want to get technical and everything. No, but I like the first 2 Abrams films too. But it's those are really creaky. I mean,
You look Into Darkness?
I liked Into Darkness. I really did. But to me, it hasn't worn well. I mean, the Abrams films don't wear well at all. I mean, they're just. I mean, if you were expecting to qualify for a science degree based on things you learned in Star Trek, you'd be in pretty bad shape. But the Abrams films are just awful in that regard. You know, the instantaneous transportation and things.
Because the only one of the Abrams films that I unironically like is Beyond, which I think is funny because that's the one that got it right immediately afterwards. They ended the series. I have a begrudging respect for the first one.
Well, it's
but
not ended. It's just on financial hiatus.
That's what they said with Tron Uprising. Look where we are 7 years later.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Bad Robot in Paramount completely mishandled the franchise. Absolutely, completely mishandled it. I don't have any use for Abrams and Bad Robot.
Can you hear me now?
Hi, Zach.
Barely, but
Far away.
You're
it
upside
was.
down. Mike's in the chat, and he asks about Star. I agree with him. First Contact is the only good next gen movie. That is patrician taste.
And so your nice mic doesn't work, Zach, you said?
Yeah, well, I have to get an adapter for my iPad because I have an iPad Pro. And
Can't be any worse than Don last night. Don didn't sound good either.
so I brought my mic, and I thought that it had like an audio and a video and a sound port for a little laptop. Well, it's only one dongle. It's only one port. So when I plug my mic in, I can't hear you.
Oh.
So
It's okay.
sorry. So I'm going to try to put on my AirPods and see if it sounds a little better.
Oh, you mean as a mic? Yeah.
Yeah. Can you hear?
Okay.
Does that sound better?
That's a little better, yeah.
Okay. I know it's not great. I'm sorry, but
It's so good. It's so good.
Actually, you sound actually not that bad.
Yeah, you sound better than you just did.
yeah. I figured by putting in the AirPods, it would sound better. So
Yeah.
I've seen enough professionals using AirPods to do podcasts,
That's true.
national broadcast. So
That's
why not work here?
Yep.
Why not?
All right, we ready? Kelly, you ready? We're starting
I'm
with you,
ready.
and then we're going to Javi.
All right.
Okay. Let me introduce everybody coming down in. Let me get my windows bigger. Hold on, so I can see you guys better. There we go. The goal, 1 hour. Will we hit that?
Sure.
You fool.
Easily. Yes.
Well,
Okay.
there's no GOG
It'll be an
anger, so
hour
I
and a
think
half.
we can
Yeah,
get
there's
away
no
this
GOG.
time.
We're not really. I'm not vehemently insulted by any of these issues.
Stop,
Okay.
Brad.
Oh, let me look if we had any new iTunes reviews. I
Okay.
meant to do that earlier before we
Oh, there
start.
goes the hour.
Oh, no.
Oh, there goes Zach too.
And there goes Zach.
Oh.
I'll be
Can we
back
get
in a
F-
second. Hang on.
Hey,
hang on.
comment section. Can we get
Where'd
Neff in the
Zach
chat?
go? He was just here. Oh yeah, there's no new iTunes reviews. Okay,
Can we get an F in the chat for Zach, y'all? Oh, no, never mind. Cancel that.
Sorry.
and he's
no.
back. What happened? You were just here.
So what I was trying to do is I was trying to split screen. I was trying to pull up. I was do split screen with it, but it's not working. So
Oh, no.
we
GOG
have a
is
great
the
piece of
key
technology, and
to
when
all
it
this.
works great, it works fantastic.
GOG is going to help defeat Kindred and restore the marriage between Mary Jane and Peter. I don't have that much high hopes for GOG.
So Brad, the
I've
way you
got-
said
GOG hopes. He's got GOG hopes. Okay.
so Brad, the way you said that reminds me of George Lucas behind the scenes of the Phantom Menace, pointing at that picture of Jar Jar on the cork board and saying, "Jar Jar is the key to all of this."
Mm.
He is. He brings about the fall of the Republic.
True. Okay, let's start. Coming down in 3, 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to an ASM review podcast that I forgot that we had not reviewed these episodes or these. Oh, that's an awful intro. Hold on. That one
So much
sucked.
So much for that hour going.
That sucked. That was an awful intro.
It's okay.
Okay, take 2. Hey, Crawl Spacers, welcome to our amazing review episode. The episode where I forgot to review 2 comics before we proceeded with the other episode. But we'll figure it out. We're catching up now. Let's introduce the panel. We got Kelly. What's going on, Kelly?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. We're doing good. We've got JR. What's up with you, sir? Have you hidden all your eggs?
I hope that everybody remembers that Brad forgot 2 whole issues when they talk about me going senile. Okay, so
We're putting you all in the home.
Okay, let's do take 3. No, I'm just kidding. We've got Zach. What's going on, Zach? All right. We've got Javi. What's going on? By the way, Zach just left the stream as I introduced him. We've got Javi. What's going on, Javi?
Oh, just itchy eyes. It's allergy
Oh,
season in full
no.
effect, and
Hey.
we're under a tornado warning right now too. So
Oh,
And-
no.
And are
good
you?
times.
Do you occasionally cough and you're like, oh my god? Like I've coughed a couple times today, and I'm like, oh,
No, it's just my eyes have been killing me.
same. And I think I've said this before. I love your shirt, ASM 317. Yeah.
Thanks.
Nice.
And we got Neil. What's going on, Neil?
You know, we've been here for 20 minutes, and I'm surprised that no one has questioned my hat.
I
No,
mean, I was rolling with it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm all about it.
but other than the hat, I'm great. So
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
And let's try this again. And welcome, Zach. Welcome back.
Hey.
Right when I said, "Hey, Zach," you left.
Right as you started talking, I literally lost all audio, so I had to like.
Oh, no.
I can barely hear you, Zach. But I'm not sure if it's on your earpods. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, Kelly, you've got
Okay.
the first issue, ASM 840. Take me through this one.
All right. So, Nick Spencer, is it Coelho?
yeah,
All right,
Well,
Coelho.
I think so.
And colors by Brian Reber.
Uh-huh.
It's basically breaking news part 2 / my podcast with Jonah. I'm gonna try and go over this as quickly as possible, mostly because there is an actual podcast that Marvel put out that I think
Oh,
most of this, like, I think everyone should probably go check that out. I think it's on Stitcher.
okay.
Yeah, it's really good.
How's the voices of Spider-Man and Jonah? Does it sound pretty good?
They're a little awkward at first, like because they're not that bad, but they're different.
Yeah.
So, but you start getting into it, and it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
But basically, Jay Jonah is doing a podcast, and his first guest is the one and only Spider-Man.
There you go.
Also, sponsorships, lovely sponsorships with Crawlspace, which is great.
I totally read this panel. Need a website?
Circle
Try
Space.
Circle Space.
I read it as Crawlspace.
I did too. I
Multiple
totally read
times,
it as
apparently.
Crawlspace. Yes. Did anybody
All
else
right.
read it as Crawlspace? I totally did.
I
Zach did.
Yeah, I did.
I've listened to enough other podcasts where I've heard the Squarespace ads,
Yeah.
so that's
Oh.
where I
You
come
That's
heard
to.
where it
Sorry.
came from. Yeah. No,
no
and I knew it
comment.
came from Squarespace. Yeah. Anyway, I literally read it and then wrote it. Anyway. All right. So, but anyway, apparently Peter got a little ahead of himself in telling this story. So we're going to go back and start from the beginning, which is Peter sees a headline that blew his shield cover and kind of, basically goes to find that the story was being told by Threats and Menaces, or TNM / I guess
TMZ.
this TMZ. I think it's more like BuzzFeed or how stuff works.
Yeah.
And Spidey tries to discuss with Jonah why, he was supposed to keep it a secret, but we know JJJ. He really thought he was doing something good by putting him in a positive light. And eventually, between Jonah and Nora guilt tripping Spidey, he becomes the first guest on this podcast. And like I said, I don't think I can give the rest of those panels too much justice. They're a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
I think the best thing to do is to go listen to the podcast Marvel
So,
put out
so
for
do
it.
they read verbatim what's on the page? Is that what they do?
They
Yes,
really
I
do.
think so.
they literally they take Spencer's script and they literally read it.
Yes.
I'll be.
And you can
Yeah.
see me now. I'm using my iPhone flashlight to
Yes.
illuminate my face.
Nice.
Yes.
Do they just
All right.
read the Jonah Spidey parts, or do they do like the Foreigner and Chance parts? or-
No. So they don't do Foreigner Chance. So
Yeah.
it's basically just like you would have listened to it.
Okay.
And then Chance does bust through. So
Okay.
it covers this
Yeah.
issue and a little bit of next issue. It's a lot of fun. And I think it's about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So it's fun. But meanwhile, Foreigner and Chance are having an argument about Chance's cheating. Chance wants another bet. So Foreigner decides to turn the tables and bets Chance can't steal the web shooters off of Spider-Man. And if he does it, Foreigner will cover everyone's debts for the night at the casino. And they both kind of realize what they're doing, because if Chance wins, and actually gets a web shooter, financially he's kind of ruined on that, so we'll need Foreigner to cover. So we go back to Jonah and Spidey doing their cast, and Nora's celebrating the chaos that is putting them in one room. And Spidey sense goes off, and Chance busts in, basically ready to go. And that's where it ends. So it kind of ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger. I like the issue. It's fun. It's kind of low stakes. It has nothing to do with Teresa and Shield, and it just kind of it brings back an actual it's just a Spidey issue. So I enjoy it for that.
So what's your grade?
Solid A.
Okay, JR.
Well, I gave it a B. It was fairly harmless, more or less.
Neil.
No Gog.
No Gog.
No Gog.
Yeah.
God, y'all are gonna hate me for y'all. If you haven't read my review, you're gonna hate me for that one. I'm gonna give it an A- to solid A, right in that range.
Yeah.
Okay. I did review your review, and you gave it an A, didn't you? The Gog issue.
Yes.
And then I kicked you off the website.
I haven't seen you try to Carol Baskins me yet, so
Whoa.
That's a thing. Okay.
Whoa.
Javi, what's your grade?
I'd go A- on it. I
A-
enjoyed it.
Zach.
My grade. Sorry, I got light right in my face now. I've got. I gave it a B plus. B plus.
Okay. I'll give you B plus or B. I wasn't offended. It was kind of fun since we do a podcast, it was kind of see Spider-Man's world in a podcast.
Yeah.
I wonder how much
almost
Nick
as if
Spencer knows about podcasting. I wish he would come on ours to talk about podcasting, but hint, hint. What's that?
I think that we make jokes about Spencer listening to the show, but there's just a little too many coincidences. It seems.
Like what?
Well, I mean, it's just like okay,
The circle space.
the circle space, but not just circle space, but like a lot of the criticisms we've had about Spider-Man in general. It seems like everything that we've been talking about for the better part of 10 years or since the show's beginning, and how much it feels like that Nick has been listening to us talk about these things and address those grievances and make stories that actually work for the character. But like doing a podcast arc with Jonah, look, this is a great medium for somebody like Jonah. I'm sure he was inspired by
I agree.
the PS4. I'm sure he was inspired by the PS4 Spidey game, but it just kind of feels like he was not just inspired by that, but maybe inspired by potentially us. So
I also
just
think
little things.
Yeah, I also think like in terms of media, it's changing. So it's nice to see Jonah also changing, and it also, to me, all of this kind of helps with the fact that his character is evolving instead of regressing like a lot of other characters tend to do over the years. Because most people, when they start reading comics, they kind of revert the character back to when they were or when they're writing them, they revert back to when they were reading them. And so it's nice to see Jonah like have an actual character progression. And this is just one of those steps because you have to in this kind of media world. So it's fun too that his main goal is to change Spidey's PR and to try and fix his wrongdoings, and this is his way of doing it without like actually coming out and publicly hard saying he's sorry.
Right.
So it's fun because it's still very Jonah, but it's not. I don't know. I enjoyed it just in the sense that it was just silly and fun.
Talk a bit about the backup of the Overdrive. People in the YouTube chat
Facebook
are asking about the backup of Overdrive.
I did write it. I write a little thing about it. So the Overdrive B story was written by Nick Spencer, art by Mobili, and color by Eric. Arciniga?
I think it's Arciniega. If it makes you feel any better, I've never been able to pronounce it either. So.
Yeah. So Overdrive goes through kind of his backstory a little bit in his words, as he's really regretting driving Mr. Negative's Inner Demons getaway car. He isn't happy about it, and it looks like a total shit show. It really eats at him, just because like they're being stupid, but they are carelessly stupid and just killing to kill, versus, you know, he thinks about things, and that's what he does. He thinks about ways to get out of situations and ways to figure that out, and it's just really tearing him up inside to see all that kind of senseless chaos.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of where it ends, is just seeing that and having to deal with that. I'm not sure where it's supposed to lead.
Well, I
So-
forget who it was that when I first read it, I didn't catch whose boots those were at the end.
Yeah.
Was it Javi? Was it?
Yeah.
It's Sin Eater's boots. I
Okay.
think you said it on a couple episodes ago. I'm like, I didn't get that when I read it the first time.
I think
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
in-
it's one of those things where I know it's setting something up, and this is where using a backup with the B-list character works, because as long as it's driving the story, you know, back in the '90s, you know, Brad, JR, and Javi, and Kelly too. Everybody but Neil remembers that they used to have. Sorry, Neil. You remember how the backups used to be? I remember like the backups in Web of Spider-Man. We used to have. Sorry, I did not type that. Okay.
Oh.
Zach has clones again on the YouTube chat and the Facebook
would
chat. Zach Joyner
would
is
be-
commenting. What the hell?
That threw me off. Thanks, Sarah. But anyway, what I was saying was back in the '90s, you know, I remember like Web of Spider-Man. They had those Night Watch backups, and I'm like, I really don't care. And you know, seeing that here, knowing that it's probably going to set up something down the road, I really like that particular aspect.
I mean, I really like this story in general, of just kind of showing the differences between certain villains and how they react, because the thing is and one good thing about Spidey villains is that not all of them are just crazy murderous assholes. Like, so there's reasons why they do what they do. So just kind of seeing that aspect and seeing it from his perspective was a neat little story. I enjoyed it. So
and also does. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Neil.
And also, I think it was smart of Spencer, because we've seen he's doing multiple of these. The latest one was with the Lethal Legion in
Yes.
ASM 41, right?
yeah.
So what I thought was
Yes.
smart was that Spencer is using Overdrive, a character who
Nobody.
both but also a character that he is familiar with because of Superior Foes, and one
Yes,
that we
yeah.
are familiar with because of Superior Foes, to ease us into this kind of motif of taking us through the minds of these villains and using using Overdrive as a way to ease into that sort of mindset
yeah.
of
I
how
think it
a
would have been
villain
good
works.
if they would have done that with the GOG issue. Split the two GOG stories up, make them two
Yeah.
backups. I would be less offended.
Yeah, again,
Yeah.
that goes back to what I said, Brad, on the GOG issues, which was if you had cut it in half, it had been a lot less of an offensive storyline for somebody reading The Amazing Spider-Man. And
How
I think it
ticked
would.
How ticked would you have been if this whole Overdrive story would have been Amazing Spider-Man? Like if they had another part of this and just make it one issue for $4. I think that's the way I felt with GOG.
Yeah, look, I've actually been wondering about what Overdrive has been doing because of the fact that Spencer wrote him in Superior Foes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I have more investment in there, and the fact that he was a supporting character in a book that Spencer wrote, I think it's a little different than GOG because GOG comes out of left field, and because he comes out so far left field, at least there is a precedent with somebody like Overdrive or Fred or Janice or some one of the or even Herman, if you throw in Herman and pick up those storylines from Herman Schultz. I wouldn't have been offended because there's precedent. With GOG, it's so far out of like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Well, I
that
think
you
it's
kinda
all. I'm sorry, dude. I think it's all in how it's presented. I didn't care about the guy that the tourist that the symbiote jumped on. for 2 pages. But I bought that Symbiote Spider-Man annual, and that was like $5, and that was a good story. But I knew it wasn't going to be Peter Parker focused. I knew it was going to be about this guy, and it was a very emotional story. And it's the same thing with those Hunted issues with like the Gibbon. Like I knew what I was getting into. I think because we were all blindsided that it wasn't really an amazing issue, it was a GOG issue, and the fact that who knows when we're going to see the next chapter. That's what's making it hurt so much for some of it.
Yeah,
and
I
I talked.
Go ahead.
I talked about this in my review that in this kind of, I feel like we're talking more about ASM 42 than we are about 39.
Yeah.
But that GOG had, if the GOG issue had made into a .1 issue, we would have been upset either way because we're being charged another $3.99 or $4.99 a month for this. So I feel like Spencer and editorial were kind of in between a rock and a hard place with where to put it in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think we would have complained either way, so I was fine with it.
To go back to kind of what you were saying, like if there was a all Overdrive amazing issue, where it wasn't hyped as, hey, we're going to delve into Overdrive, I wouldn't be thrilled about it. But if I knew in advance, like, hey, there's this .1, if you want to read it, great, it's a great story. If you don't, well, see you next time. Like that would be a different, a horse of a different color.
I like what DC Marvel fan guy says. Brad, GOG is a menace. I just thought that
where's your fading sideburns and a Hitler stash?
I shaved those off. Kelly listed a bunch of pros. I haven't heard any pros out of JR. Let's hear some pros out of JR.
On the
Say nice things.
I mean, we're talking about the Overdrive story, right? Or
no, we're talking about the whole thing. We're talking about the whole thing. You can do Overdrive or the other main story.
Well, I mean, my complaints are really nothing new, which is why I don't say much. It's like I just feel these are consistent diversions to a much more interesting story that we're not getting the conclusion to. I mean, and frankly, and like I've said, I mean, I enjoyed the. I mean, I gave it a B because I mean, Spencer writes Jonah and Spidey going at each other really well. It's always fun to read, and I really enjoyed like the little scenes, the memories, because you can almost. I mean, as I'm looking at that, I say, okay, that's Abe's amazing. That's from that amazing. That's from that amazing, But God, the foreigner bores the hell out of me. I don't understand.
He has since the 80s for you, right?
He bores the hell out of me, and I don't like Chance and the whole gambling thing. Didn't we discuss? Didn't we discuss that on a recent?
That was last night's Spider History. We did that, yeah.
So and again, so that's I mean, like I said, my complaints are nothing new or anything. It's just we have more interesting stories we're not getting to, and like on Overdrive, we're setting up yet another story involving the Sin Eater back from the dead, and again, it's not a new shtick with Snyder trying to humanize these and make these B and C list villains. So it's kind of warmed over.
You mean Spencer, not Snyder?
I actually
I said Snyder.
I actually disagree on the idea of at least, like you mentioned. I think you mentioned.
Oh, the guy! Look at the guy who's disagreeing. Look at him and look at me. He's disagreeing with me. Look at that.
You're judging a person by its cover.
But like
Neil,
stuff,
you do have cat ears on. I mean, come on.
it's Pokemon.
But
okay, good.
Yeah, it is a Pokemon hat.
But
let me remove this Zach. Let me add this Zach back. Okay. How many clones you got tonight, sir?
Infinite clones. It's maximum clonage.
Do you have 27 of them?
Zach has gone dark.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool.
But
I feel like the guy from the old Verizon commercials is now on the Sprint commercials for reasons.
Zach 27 says Adam.
Yeah.
But what were you saying, Neil? Sorry.
I actually disagree on the idea of these stories being diversions. But yeah, I agree that the Kindred story is the main overarching story, but these are story threads that have been in motion for some time, and this is our resolution to them. I'd rather get the Boomerang Kingpin storyline and the Peter Jonah relationship hashed out and wrapped up before we get to Kindred, because Kindred is supposed to be the end game villain. It's not fun watching it's not fun having to deal with Kindred while also dealing with Jonah and Boomerang. That I don't want all these things going on at once while Kindred is the final crescendo of Spencer's, we'll call it an epic, but I don't know what to call it.
Zack and the Dark Clone Saga since 2000, man.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what Neil is saying. I think the thing is just the fact that everything is so spread out. We're kind of like waiting for the thing that we want, and all this stuff just starts to feel like fodder for the longer end game. And it's a certain way of movie writing that I don't know necessarily translates as well into the comic. I'm enjoying the ride, but it's one of the it's kind of one of my slight negatives for the next issue on just it just kind of feels like once you think something's getting wrapped up and something else is starting that you can get excited about, it goes, the other way, where it's like, okay, hold on to this thread, but we're going to go over here for a second. Now we're going to jump over here for a second. And it's not a linear progression that it kind of should be for a book.
SoFlo says the art is awful in this book. I tend to disagree.
I like the art.
Yeah, no,
I like the art.
The line art is good. I will agree with him on the
one
color.
thing I was going to say is this issue and what we've been talking about for the last little bit has been this is where having a true blue satellite book, a Spectacular Spider-Man running concurrent with Amazing would be very, very helpful.
Yes.
Where you can do these things like with Jonah and have that focus go in there and it'd be fine, but the Kindred story could be more the focus of the Amazing, and then the reaction of the rest of Spider-Man's world being Spectacular. And I think that would be a better use, because the way everything is right now, it's everything has to happen in Amazing. So you can't have those things like the Gibbon issue or the GOG issue or even some of the ancillary or the Vulture issue during Hunted that we don't tend to remember, but those .1 issues taking place in that Spectacular title. Whereas we can focus on the things that kind of need to be moving forward. And I get he's trying to make this into a slow burn, all like the Hobgoblin mystery. But we're getting to the point now where there has to be some momentum. I feel like we're getting there, but with the pregnant pause in publishing, we don't know where it's going.
Sorry.
The overall environment is not helping this whatsoever. No. I mean, just the everything's coming apart at the seams, and this is kind of like I don't know. This is it's a very strange thing. I mean, it's like maybe if everything was humming on all cylinders, we'd kind of be enjoying this more. But it's like when you don't know if and when the next issue is coming out, and then just the whole industry is kind of crumbling. I mean, it's to be honest, I'm enjoying even these stories. I'm enjoying less because of all the other nonsense going on in the industry. It's kind of like a distraction. I mean, I don't mean to keep on harping on a safe space and a snowflake and grandpa's internet gas or whatever, but it's almost, but it's kind of it's kind of
is that
like
the name of a character or their mission? What's grandpa's internet gas?
Those are Screen Time's power is he inhaled his grandfather's internet gas, and he can Google fast.
But it's kind of it's kind of like your house is burning down, and I mean you're trying to read something and you're trying to enjoy it, and but you just can't get into it anymore because everything else is in flames around you. So I mean that's kind of how I feel a little bit.
I'm gonna come at this from a consumerist policy. So
thanks, Walter. That's TS Champ.
So
Walter, what's up, man?
Hang on, can y'all hear me?
I can hear you, Neil.
Yeah, I can hear you, Neil.
We were distracted by Walter insulting everybody. That was funny.
So I'm gonna
not just more hair than Zach. Trust me.
Oh my!
Wait until George and Chi-Town get on too. I mean, it's like being on a pool table with a whole lot of cue balls.
Every time you insult somebody that doesn't have any hair, you lose a follicle, Jr.
Okay. This whole comment thread about Aunt May as Kindred, I
People. Are going
kind
off
of
on
now
that.
have a thought.
Okay, what's your thought?
This Aunt May this whole time is another actor. And the actual Aunt May that died is Kindred.
Oh my god! But
This is the Aunt May
Because why
from
not
ASM
at this
400? Oh,
That-
dude.
Oh, you mean the actress in 400 that died is Kindred?
She's pissed that she died and she's
And
back.
we actually have a genetically altered actress right now.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and that was the OG Aunt May.
No.
and then-
I think she's talking to which
No,
one in
no,
400
no,
was
no.
400 the real Aunt May?
No, the 400
No.
was the genetically altered actress. Allegedly.
Okay, so we think the
What she
actress
said.
is Kindred.
So no. What
Any of them. I don't care.
what Kelly is saying is that wasn't actually a genetically altered actress in 400. That was the real Aunt May. The Aunt May that came back during the final chapter was the genetically altered actress, and that the original Aunt May is Kindred.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ!
Actually,
Kelly
DC
ran
Marvel
away.
fan guy says Anna Watson is Kindred.
So
Ah.
back to my point. I'm going to make a consumerist point of view from this. So, one, I only trust Spencer to do anything good with this because, given that David Kibblesmith is on the current writing core, I don't trust him to do a satellite title. I don't trust anyone at Marvel right now aside from Spencer to follow up on these plot lines. And also, comics are expensive as hell nowadays. Even like taking inflation into account, we're still above the average of what it should be for inflation. I'm not going to pay $3.99 for another book when I'm already living paycheck to paycheck to see what happens in another title.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense from a consumerist perspective. We're also thinking in like economic terms. The industry's kind of on its last and it's trying to make up for this by raising funds, but at the same time, I keep myself to about 10 titles per month from Marvel because that's really what I can afford. I'm not going to start buying a new title just because it has a plot line carrying over, so it has to happen in this book. Otherwise, I'm not going to get a follow-up to that.
Yeah. The people at JR are talking about all the internet gas. We've totally gone off the rails.
Also,
no.
also off a platform, Randy's Kindred.
Oh my gosh. Okay, Kelly, any cons? We'll get cons and we'll open it up to everybody else's cons.
For this issue, honestly, it's just kind of. I think mostly because I'm just it's a good little not one shot, but like a good little two shot that as it is, I like it. I like the issue. I like the fact that it's just low stakes, so I don't have a lot of complaints on that.
Yeah.
In terms of kind of an overarching stuff, it's the same old on it. I'm kind of ready for. I'm ready to understand what everything is going on and why everything is kind of a different thread sprawled out. But it's fun. It's just a fun take your mind off of everything and read and watch Peter and Jonah go at it like an old married couple. It's great.
Any other cons that hasn't been said?
Colors.
Huh?
It's awesome.
I don't.
You don't like the colors on this book?
I didn't mind the colors.
I have consistently said that I don't like Brian Ribber's coloring on the satellites. Like I think in Black Cat, I have constantly gone after his colors for like smudging up the interior art, and it continues to perpetuate in amazing. Like if you look at Ivan Coelho's Twitter, his lines are crisp and smooth as hell. I could cut myself on them, but for whatever reason, they are really smudgy when Reaver colors. I don't like that. I like my crisp, clean line work. I know that sounds like very OCD, but it drives me nuts. And also, the backgrounds are colored like vomit.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts on this book before we move on to the next one? Okay. So let me pull up the next one. I should have had this ready. I was distracted by all the internet gas talk. I mean, is anybody picking up that book?
God, no.
The new Warriors?
What is this,
Listen,
volume
listen,
6?
I'm the '90s baby. Like I am like the guy that is like, I love the '90s, right?
Yeah, that was
You
on
wouldn't
VH1.
catch me. You wouldn't catch me dead owning the new Warriors book. Just say.
I think there's only one good volume of New Warriors, and that
Just
was
say.
the second. That was the second volume. Every volume since then.
There's no. Oh, I'm sorry, Neil. I can't hear you right now because I literally can't. I can hear everybody else, but I can't hear Neil.
That's random. Okay, Javi, you've got this one.
Right.
ASM 841. Take me through this one.
So breaking news part 3. Spencer's back, obviously. Coelho and Z Carlos are the art team with Neil's favorite Brian Reber and Pantazis on the colors. The credits of the book say that Gleason did that cover, but I'm pretty sure, Brad, if you scroll down,
it says Otley.
It says
Otley.
They changed it up. It was supposed to be this cover for.
Ron.
It was supposed to be this
Otley-ish
cover
to
for
me.
38. It was supposed to be this cover for 38, and the other two were switched around for 39 and 40. But after the solicits came out, this one was changed to 40. Number 38 and 39 were changed around as well.
Goes to show you how much actually impacts the inside of the book from the cover. If they can flip them up that quick. But anyway, go ahead.
But this
Javi.
one's more fitting, actually. So
Chance interrupts Jonah's podcast interview with Spidey. The two trade blows back and forth while Jonah continues to attempt to conduct the interview. Eventually, Chance just tells Spidey to punch him, which he does. Hard. With Chance's timer to complete his task to win the bet nearing an end, the foreigner dispatches a patch of jack-o'-lanterns to assist him. Teamwork makes the dream work, and the Jacks are able to snag the web shooter and the reluctant Chance and make their getaway. Spidey's about to go after them when Jonah guilts him into staying and finishing the recording. They do. That leads to a lot of bickering, laughing, crying, and general bonding. And over time, the episode proves to be a hit. Meanwhile, since Chance won, Foreigner will have to cover all of the Knight's debts, ruining Chance's operation for reasons I don't understand. But not to worry, Foreigner announces that he's going to partner with Chance to keep things afloat. Back at Peter's apartment, Randy's cowering in fear over an impromptu visit from his ex, Nora Winters, just like George Berryman would. She's not there to see him, though. She's got a job for Peter. The proposal that she has is vague, but it would involve Spidey telling his own story with the aid of Peter. And Peter agrees to give it some thought. The story shifts back to the palace, where Peter's classmate, Jamie, is on a winning streak, using the device they made and asking to be called the Clairvoyant. So closing out the issue, Nora's in her car on the phone with her mysterious benefactor. She's offering this opportunity to Spider-Man and Peter at the behest of the Chameleon.
Dun, dun, dun.
Done.
All right, Javi, what's your grade, sir?
I'm going to go with a B+ on this one.
Okay. Kelly, what's your grade?
B.
JR?
B-.
Zach?
This was a B+.
Neil?
B+.
I'll give it a B. Go ahead, Javi, your pros.
I liked the continuing evolution of Peter and Jonah's relationship, the strengthening of that bond. Also, I felt Spencer really nailed the humor in this issue, with Jonah trying to interview Spidey while Spidey was fighting. Just a few other quips as well. I thought he did a lot of good setup for future plots down the road, although I really wanted to get to Kindred. And I actually enjoyed the art, even with the two different artists. Usually that kind of thing really ticks me off. But while their styles are different, it still felt cohesive and it wasn't jarring. There's been a few times where they've switched to another artist and it totally takes me out of the story. But this one I felt was a lot more subtle.
Okay. Pros out of anybody else who would like to go?
I did like. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good.
No,
I
go.
gotta get my notes back.
I'm actually writing a graphic right now, so this.
Oh,
you can go
okay.
ahead.
All right, great. I mean, my pros are just I think it wraps up the cute little side story. And if this was actually going to go anywhere, this is fun. I think I don't know. It's weird because it's like if this was not like if we had not read the last 2 issues, I would be like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. This is this is gonna be such a fun story because we're getting into like some nitty gritty stuff with like Nora and the new BuzzFeed situation, but we don't. So I don't know. I like the fact that it wraps up the podcast in a cute little way.
Mm-hmm.
That's my main pro.
Neil, go ahead. What's your pros?
So the big one for me was I think that this arc so far has shown 2 things. One, that Spencer is very good at keeping up with the times and evolving Peter and Jonah's kind of job portfolios as the times have evolved, because podcasting is the new big thing for journalism right now, and I think that it was very smart of Spencer to translate Peter into that world of podcasting alongside Jonah. Especially in the way of like, oh, you're going to interview Spider-Man for money. It's kind of a good way of Peter's 2 worlds colliding, and also is very consistent with Spencer's portrayal of Nora, where she's very headstrong and somewhat, I don't want to say gullible, but considering that she made out with Hobgoblin for 2 years, you do you on that one.
JR, some pros. What'd you like?
Well, I mean, it almost kind of felt like a retread of the previous issue, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't have any additional pros other than it being a cute, kind of a cute in spots, but it certainly didn't feel very original. I mean, so
I don't think, did it need to be original though at this, like, aside from like the modern
I just
era?
feel like I'm reading the same thing over and over sometimes, So that was kind of, I mean, but I didn't want to, we were on the pros part, not the cons. I don't have any additional pros to have. Yeah. Jesus Christ. I don't even have the excuse of being drinking anymore.
Clear, JR. Talk.
No, I just saw nothing new in this one as opposed to the last one. So I really have no new pros.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also
what's your pros? Oh, go ahead, Neil.
Something I didn't bring up last issue, but I want to bring up this issue, is that Spencer has a very good grasp of current continuity as well as his grasp on old continuity, like in the casino. And also I like how that's a callback to Gwenpool, where they have the palace. What they did well was that they showed like events happening in different titles. Like they showed Iron Man 2020 happening in one screen and like Immortal Hulk happening on the screen. I thought that was a very good way to catch us up on what's going on in the timeline, using this as like our metric. I thought that was a nice little touch on his part.
Zach, pros.
Well, I didn't hear anything that Neil said, so I'm just going to say my pros.
Bad audio.
For some reason, it only gives me 4 of the 5. So sorry, Neil. Anyway, I liked the artwork. I didn't really feel like there was 2 artists when I was reading it, and that there tends to, a lot of times they tend to bring in artists with contrasting styles. I kind of felt like they were trying to ape each other to where it was at least a more cohesive story. And so I enjoyed this arc. I enjoyed the arc because it was on one hand it's a nice departure, and this Jonas stuff's been kind of bubbling, and it's kind of puts a pin in the Jonas stuff right now, so that way we can focus exclusively on Kindred later on. So I think that this was a necessary type of arc, but you could have probably knocked an issue off, truthfully, and it would have been fine.
Yeah.
Right. All right.
I'm getting the hat off.
Yeah. People are asking, Neil, what are you wearing? People are asking.
Really, you should have leaned into it and like found a Pokemon Kigu and then just changed into that. Just become the Pokemon.
Okay. I was gonna say to Neil, like, literally, Sarah walked in and she's like, "Hey, why does Neil have ears on his head?"
Because it's Saturday night, baby. That's what you do. All right.
It's Saturday Night Live. Am I right,
and
boys?
Unfortunately, I can't hear Neil's response.
It was epic. All right, are we ready for cons?
Yeah.
All right, cons. Take me through them, Javi.
So it's actually a little tied in with my pro, the Spidey Jonah characterization. I appreciate that Jonah knows Spider-Man, that he knows Peter so well that when the jack-o'-lanterns take off with his web shooter, Jonah kind of gives him not the riot act, but he guilts him into staying. He's like, "Oh, you're going to go off and punch some people just like you always do, because that's what you want."
Right.
And it causes Spidey to pause and be like, "You're right. I need to spend some time with you and straighten this out." And he weighs the pros and the cons of letting them go versus what harm he's doing if he stays to talk to Jonah. And while it's great for their characters to have that interaction, I don't buy for a second, I'm sorry, Spencer, that Peter would let someone get away with stealing his web shooters.
Right.
For one thing, the cost. As far as I know, Peter's not rolling in money right now, so having to be out the supplies for a web shooter would be not good for his bankroll there.
Right.
But that's his tech. That's his technology that he created that someone could be using to frame him later, to mass produce for other people, figure out its weaknesses.
Like when the Punisher got a hold of
Wasn't
the
that
web
the
shooter.
Joey Z thing where they kind of used
Yeah.
one of his web
Sorry,
shooters
Neil.
to recreate that?
He's all about responsibility, and it's his responsibility to get that back before it falls into the wrong. I mean, it already fell into the wrong hands before they do something, seamy with it.
What were you saying, Neil?
Like when the Punisher got a hold of his web shooter, like back in I think the Ennis run, from that point I think Peter's just hated Punisher since then because he uses technology to cause harm.
Yeah. All right, JR, cons out of you, sir.
Well, I think the more interesting part of the story was left on the table. The one page where it says that Peter and Jonah bicker, they laugh, they cry, they see each other in a whole new light. I want to see that conversation. That was the most.
Yeah.
I want to see it. I want to see what they're crying about. I want to see what apparently they have mutual regrets. I mean, what are they? And they laugh. They're because they've been bickering these whole two issues. They're and what are they laughing about? There's obviously some special shared memories. And then special. I shouldn't say special, but then like I said, some bitter memories. I want to see that story. It's like almost, wait a minute, I got the wrong story.
Right.
So I would say that's my big con.
They buried the lead.
Well, and I'll say this. I kind of get a feeling that we'll see more of that conversation at a later date.
Yeah.
Because I think something that important doesn't need to be left on the cutting room floor, if you will.
Yeah, but at my age, I may not make it. That's the whole thing. It's like
listen, JR, you're going to be in a glass jar, a la Futurama in the year 3000.
I was going to say
up in the
Rasputin.
corner, and we're just going to defer to your magnificence.
Adam wants to know: doesn't Peter's web shooters take his super strength to activate? No, Mary Jane's used his web shooters.
Yeah.
It also doesn't mean that they
the two punch.
double tap.
Yeah.
But it
double
also
tap,
doesn't mean they can't reverse engineer the technology. It's got to disassemble it.
I mean, I don't really know if that was all. I guess maybe it might be for the chameleon, but like you don't really find out, like at least in terms of these two issues, you don't really find out why they want it other than
I think it was just a bet.
exactly. It's just a bet. So like
not really a point.
It's not a high stake. So it's just kind of like a dumb college prank or something, and then
in response. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
No, I was going to ask Sarah Pizzell.
No, you're fine.
Saying Marvel did a recorded podcast of the interview. JR it's like.
Yeah,
That's what Kelly was talking about. That was what Kelly was talking about earlier.
Yeah, but I mean, not this particular page that I'm talking about, right? I mean,
No, this was just a read of the first issue, is what I understand from Kelly.
Well, it follows a little bit of this issue. It just kind of ends though at Chance breaking in, and he says a few lines from the first first two pages of this issue, and then it kind of trails off. And it kind of set it up like they almost were going to do a second episode, but they're not. So,
which would have been fun because it would have been fun to see Marvel branch out into that multimedia stuff that I think they could actually have a really good chance at.
well, see, and they do. They have their scripted podcasts, which I think is kind of why they were bringing this in, and I'm kind of wondering if this is also why they wanted a podcast issue of some sort.
Yeah, there's some good debate going on in the chat about Nora Winters hasn't been seen since issue 3.
She's been seen in like issue 14, I believe.
But the offer to Peter was given in issue 3. Now we're in issue 40 now.
Mm-hmm.
It also did mention that Peter's been kind of blocking calls.
No.
Yeah.
You don't block Nick Fury.
In issue 37. They mentioned that Peter's been...
Walter would like to know if Spencer's run is better than Slots, and yes,
infinitely
much better.
It's
much better.
Yeah.
I have a con.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Water is what?
Let me full screen. Okay, there you go, buddy.
Okay,
let me get this.
Can you read this?
Oh my.
Barely. No. Oh,
okay.
I see Kindred on the left.
Okay.
Okay. Can everyone see this?
Sort
of.
kind
of. Peter's in the middle.
Okay. So here are all the plot points I can think off the top of my head that are going on in ASM right now, as of issue 42.
This is like reading hieroglyphics for me.
Okay, so Peter's in the center since he's the main character. So the big ones are MJ, Kindred, and I guess Boomerang, Kingpin. But you have all these different subplots and they all connect to each other in different ways. The problem is that we have too many subplots on the board instead of focusing on Peter and MJ and Peter and Kindred. We have the Syndicate. We have time travel because that's still a thing with the Clairvoyant. That connects to Jamie, which connects to Foreigner, Silver Sable, and Chance. You've got possible connections to the Superior Foes. You have Kindred, which connects to Sin Eater, back to the Superior Foes again. Boomerang, Kingpin connect to the foes again. MJ connects back to Kindred, and then Jonah and Nora connects to Peter, who connects to Chameleon, who connects to Silver Sable and Foreigner.
So how many plot points do you want on that page? How many would make a book that you'd like?
Well, I wrote this by hand, Matt. Matt says I need to print bigger, but this is just my writing. So.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like them bones, and the ankle bone connects to the leg.
But
Ryan,
no, Neil, how many is too many? How many are on there, and how many would you like? Was that 20 on your page?
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I'm probably missing out on like potential loose strings like Carly Cooper as potential Kindred plot thread, Mysterio who connects back to Kindred, and I didn't write Chameleon down, but he connects in there somewhere too.
Yeah.
But I think that taking 2 or 3 of these and not necessarily stretching out the arcs that they're part of, but keeping them as the major story arcs. I'm sorry, there's a fly in here. That caught my
Probably
ADD
was
going.
attracted to that hat.
But Mike says all I need was random pictures in red string.
No doubt, like ASM 2.
Yeah.
Your walls are covered.
Pepe
Your
Silva
Charlie
does
Day.
not exist.
Yes, your Charlie Day.
But keep like 2 or 3 or 4 of these, maybe 5 if you want to, and then
juggling 5 instead of 20.
Yes, but the problem is that all these different like smaller subplots, I don't know how big they're going to be, so they're constantly like in the background, but you can always see them like about to boil over, but they never actually get there up until like one of them is gone. And these aren't even the subplots that have already wrapped up, like Craven and Black Cat. So we're still dealing with even more stuff.
Heroing wants to know where do you think Spencer's going to go after his run with Kindred, or do you think he's going to end his run with Kindred? Do you think this is his big story, or has he got one after this one?
I've got two.
I think he's got more in the can. I think he just wants. I think this is the first phase, and I think that we're going to see, probably some seeding, towards the, maybe towards the beginning of the arc to kind of keep us going. But Kindred's like. It's the big story, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. And I think it's going to build off of whatever.
It's who is the Hobgoblin equivalent?
Well, he's repairing the damage. He's fixing what was broken, and once he takes care of that, which hopefully Kindred solves all that, and puts it to rest, then I can see him really letting loose and doing what he really wants to do.
Right.
I am guessing that once Kindred is wrapped up, I'm guessing it's going to be wrapped up by issue 55 or whatever the last remaining
50,
storyline
I
is.
bet.
Well, no, 50's the end of Sin's Rising.
If we get there.
Yeah.
And also too with like Legacy number 850, and then there's also number 50.
Oh Lord.
But I think that once ASM or once Kindred is dealt with, we have two possible storylines going forward. One is Peter and MJ getting engaged and married. We've been predicting that since like the beginning of Spencer's run. Or we have Hobgoblin. I don't know why, but I want to see Spencer tackle Hobgoblin. I just think that'd be cool. So that's one of my two possible.
Why not go with the OG? Let's go Norman.
Because we've been dealing with Norman for the past 5 years off and on. I don't want to deal with that anymore.
You had enough Norman, JR?
He's over in Ravencroft now.
Yeah.
So I'm always interested in a good writer's take on him, but right now I don't have any compelling need for another Norman Osborn Green Goblin story yet.
Okay.
Oh, thanks, Walter.
Walter says, congratulations on being a father, Zach. That was nice. You need to print bigger Nail. Nail.
It's okay. Everyone gets my name wrong.
Too many side quests distracting us from getting on the main story, says Venkman.
Yeah.
Javi hopes we don't end with Kindred. Javi, you're on the show. You don't have to type. Right?
I have to get a like it somewhere.
McNulty is proud of you for pulling out
This is
the
apparently
conspiracy board.
It's the clone episode.
Yeah.
Their clones are commenting.
I'm glad
Cool.
Mike is proud of me.
Well,
Everyone's
Sarah is
approval
trying
means-
on dress outfits. My mother's like, here and try this on and try this on. And so if you see me like turning my head, it's because I'm being told to look and
That's
give
fine.
my opinion.
Okay.
Do we have any other thoughts on this book, or are we done? What do you think?
I want more.
You
Yeah.
want more?
I
Well,
really
yeah.
wish that we had gotten at least another issue before we started the Boomerang story on more of this. Like, because
Yeah.
this issue really feels like two half issues.
Yeah.
Like, and and then
we're
the
still
fact
at
that,
$8.
yeah, and then they go off on Boomerang and then a GOG
Side
backstory. Yeah. It's
I
a
talked-
side. It's like side quest after side quest. It's almost like just these 4 issues feel
Mhm.
like Nick Spencer has ADHD.
Yeah. McNulty suggests that Sissy Ironwood is possibly Kindred. JR, would you go for that? Put me over and team up. I'm coming over to the main book. I'm Sissy Ironwood.
I was about to say, I think we've gone on long enough.
Javi, say that.
Sissy Ironwood, damn it.
Yeah.
That was
There
one of
you
the
go.
best Jeopardy categories. that we-
Yeah.
Flower can comment. Aw.
Aw.
Yes, they can.
Yes.
$8 would have gotten me a good Taco Tuesday deal, says Ryan.
Right?
So,
Back
I
in
talked
high
about this
school,
in a- I talked about this in a-
spent $8 and got me a grande combo.
Oh,
And-
harrowing.
Ah.
Harrowing, this is a good point. What happened to MJ's sidekick therapy sessions held by Jarvis?
Was that this book or was that Friendly?
No.
this was ASM.
No, that was
yeah.
this
That was
Okay.
ASM. We haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah.
I think Carly
Well,
mentioned it in
and
ASM.
when we saw more of
Oh, he can't hear me. I forgot.
I know. Go ahead, Zach.
this really sucks not being able to hear Neil.
Why is it just Neil?
I know.
I
Why
don't
is Neil in
know.
timeout?
Hang on, Zach.
well,
Is it possible you
It's
have me
like,
muted on
when
your
I
end?
signed out, I
Oh,
couldn't
wait,
hear
he can't hear
anybody,
me.
And then I signed back in, and
That was good, Neil.
it's because I hate you, Neil. No, I signed back out. I signed back in, and then it's like I can hear five of the 6 people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
or 4 of the.
In the
5
meantime, Adam says, tacos.
Yeah.
So
I want
I think I think in issue 29, Spencer or Carly mentioned like there was a potentially a lookout. Is it lookout or lookups? Lookups, I think. But she mentioned there might be one in in Hollywood or wherever MJ went. But I think that was supposed to be addressed over in Amazing Mary Jane. But
I guess Leah Williams decided that wasn't incredibly important at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do final thoughts, and then we'll wrap it up. Final thoughts, Neil.
I liked it. I don't know why you guys are so mean.
You guys are so mean. You're picking on me. Final thoughts, Javi.
Overall, I really like this arc. I'm not like a huge Chance fan by any stretch of the imagination, but there's just like a little titch of nostalgia that
No doubt.
seeing him brings back that makes me like slightly affectionate. And story wise and art wise, I just felt it was more relevant than all the 2099 stuff we had. That arc was probably part of like one of the lower rated arcs for me. So I feel like we're stepping back in the right direction.
Yeah. Zach, final thoughts.
You know, two pretty quality issues. I mean, I gave them B pluses. They both seem to work on a fundamental level, and I agree with Hobby. I mean, we went almost 2 months with the 2099 stuff, and now it feels like we're here in 2020. We've been on the right track overall.
Yeah.
I can barely read Neil's writing.
Hold on, Neil. Zach, I love you. Please don't flower yourself. Oh,
I already did. Her name is Gabriella.
oh my gosh.
Kid acts just like me.
Did we?
No, that's suicide.
That was Javi's final thoughts. Let's hear Zach's final thoughts. Zach, go ahead. Final thoughts.
Well, you know, I really enjoyed these 2 issues. They were B pluses, so you know, I feel like we're back on the right track, and I feel like we've done a lot. It's kind of weird that we had to go back, and this is I think the first time ever we've oops.
Yeah, I've never skipped 2 issues before in reviewing them. That was interesting. That's the first.
And one minor thing. Hopefully, by the time this episode comes out on audio form, we'll have all the celebrity interviews up on the front page of the Crawl Space, to where you
Thank
can
you
just
for organizing that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, JR.
Well, this is probably going to be the last review show for quite a while. I feel like I should have
True.
something profound to say, but I don't. I can't think of a thing.
Say something about death, blondes, and victory.
What's that from?
It's
That's
a
from
Norman
Neil's
joke.
brain is what that's
Yeah.
from.
It is a Norman.
I got it.
Oh, Death
Got it.
Blonde. Oh, got it. Final thoughts, Kelly. Man.
I'm glad that our review show is not ending on GOG.
Yeah, no doubt. Amen.
I liked the GOG story. I'm glad it's not ending on it. My final thoughts on this issue is just it's 2 half issues tied together, and I wish we could have seen the next steps with Chameleon and Nora, but I guess we'll find out at some point whenever Diamond comes back.
No doubt.
Which I don't believe will be August, but we'll see.
I
Enigma
don't
wants
think
the
Diane's
JR
coming
Drunken
back.
podcast.
I don't either.
So wait, JR, can we make this happen?
What?
Enigma.
No,
yeah.
unfortunately, my rambling is pretty much a drunken podcast. To be honest, I mean, I sound drunk.
Ryan says we'll have Spider Histories. Yeah, we're still going to keep those up every month. That'd be fun.
You know what you should
Yeah.
JR's some Romulan ale and do commentaries for Star Treks 1 through 6.
Let me tell you-
maybe get some blue skies playing in the
And
background.
I'll say this:
Yeah.
Brad will still make us do stupid news stories.
You
I mean,
bet.
that's true.
That's gonna happen.
Spider
I mean,
criminals do not stop because Diamond doesn't ship books. I mean, come on.
It's true.
I could do a whole Spider Crime episode. Kelly wants to do Family Feud Spider Man. So that'd be fun.
We've got
Mad Lib
We've got-
Spider-Man.
Mad Lib
Yeah,
Spider Man was fun.
I've got Mad Libs. I've got
Nice. We can still
That-
play. We can still
if you-
make these happen.
yeah. If you would do a favor for everybody that's watching either on Facebook or on YouTube, share the feed to
Yeah.
your friends, and so that way we can get more people on. And
We've
people
got
can get more
36
people-
watching right now.
We got 36 people
Nice.
watching right now.
Thanks.
If you guys would, go on to the page and then hit share. You can do share all if you want, or you can share to all your nerdy friends.
Yeah.
Anybody that likes Spider-Man, so that way we can get new eyeballs. Because we're doing a lot of random live streams just to get through the quarantine. So
No
if you
doubt.
want some good
Yeah.
quality entertainment, even if it's not necessarily an official podcast, go to SpidermanCrawlspace.com or YouTube.com/crawlspace or Facebook.com/crawlspace.
I thought for sure, Zach, I had it ready that you were going to do this. The Patreon. What's the Patreon?
Okay,
But
so
you know, guys, if you like
help
to-
support
Wait,
the if you want to support the podcast, you can also do that. Go to patreon.com/crawlspace. Where you can see when I can actually hear Neil and Javi and Kelly. We do these Spider Satellite shows. And we also have Tyler usually. So JR is not usually on those satellite episodes because JR doesn't like to read satellite titles anymore.
He doesn't.
I mean, it makes sense.
Imagine if I was hammered. I've never really been drunk. So that would be a fun podcast.
You said the way you said that was so smug. Like I've never been drunk.
I'm not.
before.
5. I've had 14 Mountain. No, not 14 Mountain Dews. I've had
Oh my
5.
God.
I was pretty loopy then. But one thing, I think the show's done. One thing I thought it'd be fun to talk about real quick with the Facebook people, since we've got 37 now.
Yeah.
My
In a row?
God. Yeah. I like the internet knows who JR is. Crawl last week. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had the crawl on the bottom doing that.
It was a good crawl.
Let's see. This is what I want to talk about. This was up on Bleeding Cool today. The comic book retailers are wanting to fix the direct market when it returns, so they're trying to get Marvel and DC, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So you wanna
to
see-
make
did
it.
You, did you see
What?
my comment on this, Brad? When in our group, I kind of got real.
And
salty.
George's retort.
Yeah.
George got you, boy.
Here, let me hide that. Here, let me get through it. Then we'll talk about it. Zach thinks it's dumb, is what I remember from his comment. But we'll get to it in a second. So there's a document. I actually didn't look at the document. Let me look at it.
Is this like our new version of Ditko News? Bleeding Cool News.
It makes me sad.
Cool.
Anyway,
rumors.
it's the
Please.
retailers are wanting to change the way comics are solicited and sold to the comic shop, so it can be, I guess, a stronger, I don't know, buying experience. I don't know. So it can support the comic shop, so they don't fall. So I'm going to read some of these, and we'll get thoughts at the end. It says, if previews continue must listed a periodical must have all art present. I would agree with that. If I'm pre-ordering 3 months out and there's no cover, not much description, why am I dropping down
No.
$4?
Okay,
I
but-
agree with that. And Marvel lately, I kind of understand this because Marvel lately was kind of holding off on putting out variant covers. I actually would like to be able to see the variant covers, just as somebody who, when I order, I tend to like, if there's a variant cover with Mayday on it, I want it. And they tend to do that every 3 months.
Yeah.
But how am I supposed to know? And how is, my comic book shop supposed to know if there's no cover art until 3 weeks before?
Exactly. Also, I wish they would have the books written before they solicit them, aka J.J. Abrams
But
and nepotism man over here.
But they do though. The problem.
Right.
Hang on,
What's that?
real quick. What I said on our group it was a little ridiculous. Here's why I look at it that way. On one hand, I get that they're trying to promote change in terms of the business model, and I get that. I understand that. I understand that the model itself doesn't work as it is right now.
Doesn't.
Having one publisher essentially for all comics. That is obviously a huge problem. However, I get why, on one hand, I get why they don't want to put all the variant covers in previews. And on the other hand, I agree with like Kelly, somebody like her that collects a specific character. I get that you want to have all the covers for her because you want to support her. And I understand that.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, like, sometimes not putting the cover in there, especially because it seems like more and more we're going back to where the covers are actually reflecting the issues themselves.
Yeah,
back in the-
which is a good
back in
thing. Yeah.
Right. And back when like the early Jameis Quesada era, where it was the poster covers,
The
Mhm.
ultimate
where they
line.
Yeah.
you didn't know what was going on in the book, just based off the cover. So I get why not putting some covers in there
Yeah.
is necessary. The other things, look, why do we have to have two previews, a Marvel and a DC previews? Why not combine them all, both? Well, there's a lot of people that only read Marvel, and there's a lot of people that only read DC. So it's trying to tailor to specific markets.
Here, go ahead, Kelly. 2000 men
Sorry.
says J.J. Abrams Spidey equals mail swap Mayday. That's kind of an
It's
insult
really
to Mayday,
not.
isn't it?
That
It
very
is,
much-
and it's not. It's a little boy's
Yeah.
like
Fan
original
fiction.
character, and he really, instead of just writing it on fanfiction.net or DeviantArt, he
It's got a
he
rich
got
daddy.
his dad. Yeah, he got his dad to help him make it real. It also, although I really don't believe that the Abrams did enough research to realize that there was already a Ben Parker.
I would agree.
So there's also that situation. That's the only time that I would say that it really correlates to Mayday is just the name, and then maybe the mom dying, because in some alternative universes, like in Marvel X, that universe, MJ dies. But come on, man, Ben is not. Ben is that's insulting.
Yeah.
that's insulting to everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me get
Like-
back to my
Sorry.
full screen here.
Sorry.
Here, let me get Walter's comment off the screen. There we go. Okay, let's see. Fewer variants, less is more. Money not spent
I
on a
agree with
variant
that.
cover will be spent on another
yes.
comic. Or maybe they spend on the materials needed to protect those comics and strengthen the shop, buying baggage and boards. Everything was in a series must get the series code attached to the master data file. Yeah, because it's hard to ASM Volume 1, ASM Volume 2, ASM Volume 3, etc. A single issue one shot should be clearly labeled as such. Stop using the number one issue bait that implies a new ongoing. If it's needed, it's not needed if the content is quality and gives value back to your consumer. That's true. That's truth.
Also something to add. Also something to add to that. Also, they need to get better about labeling what's a miniseries, because like on like Newsarama, on the solicits, they do a really poor job of telling like what's a one shot and what's a miniseries.
Yeah.
They need to do that. They need to fix that both on the Newsarama aspects. That's where most normies go to find their solicit information, and also on the Diamond webpage,
Yeah.
because
They
they're
want
horrible
a
about
flat
that.
shipping rate, standard training on the way to package and ship books to the shops, because the shops get banged up comics.
Yeah.
They do.
I
They
get
get
mine
destroyed.
from DCBS, and I often get an email like, "Yep, we got a whole box full of junked Marvel comics.
Yep.
We're gonna reorder them because somebody didn't pack them right."
Yeah.
Not every issue or ongoing needs to be a 12-issue story. A decent percentage of product that is one and done
I
story
agree with that.
would extend
Yes.
the shelf life.
That's the part
Yeah.
that I literally was like rolling my eyes
Yes.
at. I get it. I do. I understand that, but that is taking it now to you're telling creatives what to do.
Well,
You're not telling the higher ups
To
what to do.
to
You're
an
telling the
extent,
creative.
you need to tell the creatives what sells. And
Well-
the retailers say these
and
12-part
also-
stories, $4 times 12, $36 for a story.
And also, Zach, you're wait, he can't hear me. So can someone reiterate what I say to him so he can hear me?
Okay, Zach, I'm going to translate for Neil in English to English.
It's like going through like a
What did
shoestring in
you
a cup.
say?
Zach,
Okay. So
so
you're saying
you're
God,
saying, I'm just
What am I saying? Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So,
Ahead,
so
Neil.
basically, what
hold
I
on,
was
Zach,
trying-
I'm translating for you. Go ahead, Neil.
okay. So on one hand, while you can say like, oh, they're telling their creators how to do the work, they're also worried about their bottom line. And also, Diamond and to an extent, the publishers have been telling you're going to buy this and you're going to like it for the past half decade or longer now.
Okay.
So when
Hold on,
the
I
creators
can't translate much more than that. Okay, Zach, he said, "How you doing, bro?"
I'm doing great, Neil.
He said, "How's your dog? How's your mom?" And he said, what the hell did he say? No, he said retailers. He said retailers are telling the creatives what sells, and you're also saying, what was the second part, Neil?
that the creators have been telling the shops to buy it and take it for the past.
Yes,
decade,
Marvel and
so-
DC have been telling the shops that they have to take it. Whatever they put
Right.
out, they you drink the Kool-Aid, man.
Yeah.
Well,
I made that last part up, but it sounded.
but
Jonestown.
I mean,
okay.
it's fine. It makes sense.
This is our Jones.
understand that
This is our
from a certain
Jonestown.
standpoint. Don't misunderstand what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is specifically that okay, you're telling me that Nick Spencer's Spider-Man not selling.
Michael Reed just wrote, "Brad is C-3PO to Neil's R2-D2."
Well, I do spew a lot of gibberish, so it makes sense.
Oh, that's hysterical.
Well, actually, Neil's kind of tall, so I think he'd be more C-3PO.
And I
But I get
R2-D2.
Yeah, but
Brad's
but
the
you
smug
can't
one, and
un-
I spew gibberish. So
you can't you specifically, Zach, cannot understand Neil
Yeah.
right now. So
My God.
He says hi.
it's the metaphor.
Adam says, "Don't mess with Mayday when Kelly's on." No doubt. JJ's
But-
Spider-Man book
hey,
with Lynn
sometimes if I say something just right, Ron Friends will show up
Oh yeah.
and will
that's right.
agree with
If you
me.
say Ron Friends 3 times, he shows up.
friends. This is magic.
Uh,
Oh, I'm losing.
That's-
Okay, let me go back to my document. Okay, hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on. Let's see.
Zach, I see what you're trying to say, but that doesn't negate the fact that they bring up a valid point.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh.
they even talk about that. Like, we can't wait for the trade.
Also, the next point is longer delays between single issues and trades. What do you guys think of that?
I agree with that.
Because a lot of people say that the floppies are what. Well, it is. The floppies are what helps make the trades possible.
Yeah.
So if you
I-
don't support the floppies, you're not going to have trades.
I was talking with Sean about. Oh, were you about
Mhm.
to say something, Kelly?
Yeah, I was gonna say in terms of what people now buy is generally the trades because they don't feel safe enough to come into a comic book store. I feel like a lot of what this is, hey, we want the comic book stores to do well. Yes, I 100% agree. The thing that it's not taking into account is some comic book stores tend to not be friendly to newer customers, and that is, of course, that's something comic books, like the distributors and Marvel and DC and everybody, they can't control that, but it's kind of almost putting everything on them. And it's like, if you guys aren't going to be willing to help, like for a longer delay, if you're not going to be willing to help a newer customer come in and be friendly and be welcoming, it's not going to work, because that's why a lot of people went to trade.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
And also,
I would agree.
trades are
there
just
has
more
to be a
accessible.
culture change.
Yeah.
And it's going to have to start with the individual shops, because when you got to be welcoming, not just and I'm not just talking about female fans, but also new fans that don't know, that may only know Spider-Man through the movies, or maybe only know Spider-Man through the cartoons, or maybe somebody loaned them a trade and they read that trade. Just because they're not seeped in the fandom doesn't mean that you can just dismiss them. And sometimes you see that in comic shops, especially the longer they've been around and they've got the normal clientele. They almost forget that they need to continue to generate new clientele. It's like the system is designed for regulars, and the problem is that there is a lot of retailers that aren't new reader friendly because it's been so long since they were new readers themselves.
Yeah. So I guess. Also, I was talking. Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
No, sorry. I was reading the comments, and Adam's right. I think bigger trades, like if there was a longer delay, but they were bigger trades, bigger volumes, almost like a masterwork, that would be the way to go in this situation.
Like those epics. Yeah. Those.
Yeah.
They're
Also-
$40 though. They're expensive.
Also better paper quality. Like
Yeah.
I'd be more than like if have you ever seen one of IDW's Transformers trades?
Mhm.
Like there's
Oh,
only
yeah.
four there's only 4 issues in them, but their paper quality is amazing.
Yeah.
Like
no.
like if I would be more than willing to sacrifice number of issues per trade if we got better paper quality and a bit thicker hardcover or soft cover.
Yeah.
There's a lot of conversation in the chat about digital. I guess they're talking about suspending digital release. I would not be for that at all.
Because it pisses off retailers.
Yeah. Well, there are times where, like when Amazing Spider-Man volume, whatever we're on, got relaunched. Those first couple of issues, I mean, people were talking about them on the site immediately.
Yeah.
And the only way I could not get spoiled or keep being a part of the conversation was to buy them, when I woke up in the morning and read them right then through digital on a day where I had to go to work and couldn't go to a shop. And by no means did that negate me not going to pick up my physical copy.
Yeah, no, and that's same for me. Which of course generally it winds up meaning that I'm buying 2 issues, but there's a lot of times that there's a particular issue that I really, really want to read. I'll buy it in the morning, read it on my lunch break, and then go pick it up when I can go to the comic book store. Because in Atlanta, the comic book stores are very spread out, and most of them are outside the city limits, outside the perimeter. It's hard for me, where I work, to go on Wednesdays to grab those comics. So if I don't want to be spoiled on something, and I want to read something within the time frame, it is easier for me to buy it. But that never stops me from going to the comic book store and getting my pull list. But of course, I guess too, I'm not a newer reader. I grew up in a comic book store. This is something that I'm used to, but I don't think it necessarily hinders it as much as they are acting like it is.
Right.
Real quick, Joe says, first time watching the Crawl Space live. Love the podcast. Everyone, long live Stegron. Welcome, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hail Stegron.
Hey, my counter argument, if you guys have not watched our most recent news episode, if you didn't get a chance to watch it, I really encourage you guys, everybody that hasn't seen it, to go watch that episode, because we're talking with somebody like Eddie, who specifically said that the digital comics bring in, and these 2 guys, this is where I was kind of also getting at with my comment, saying it was a little ridiculous, is that these 2 guys specifically were so anti the comic cup thing that their mindset is still that digital is going to hurt the brick and mortar industry. Well, quite frankly, those that have went digital I've already gone digital. Those that want the print comics are going to try to stick with the print comics. But the longer that this gets delayed, and if they were to do digital releases, yes, it would hurt. But there is still, Brad Douglas is still going to want his floppies, no matter what. Brad wants his physical books in hand. There is always going to be a market. That's why Barnes and Noble.
Even GOG.
You're gonna.
Why Barnes and Noble
bully me.
Hasn't gone under necessarily. It's because, quite frankly, there is a big segment of the comic reading population that want to read physical comics.
JR? Adam says you're being really quiet. What's up? What's your thoughts on this topic?
I was actually trying to type I can't find a way to type on this here, so I was trying to type on that one. JR's not up on the nuances. I mean, you guys are talking about it from the perspective of reading multiple titles, ordering multiple titles, obtaining comics in multiple formats, and I don't do that. I mean, I buy Spider-Man. I did buy Spider-Man. It's so, and to me, all this, and I don't. I mean, this is interesting. I mean, I like listening to it because I like understanding how the sausage is made, as ugly as it is. But to me, the issue always is content, and all this stuff that they're talking about. You guys here are talking about means. I was about to say that sounds shitty. You guys talking about means nothing. It means nothing when we have Marvel and DC, particularly Marvel, having such a shitty attitude toward the readers. Yeah. I mean, I see this list. I see this list, and nowhere do I see something like tell this Jerry Dugan to stop telling readers to eat a bag of pre-blanked dicks.
The problem.
I wish they would stop.
The problem is
right now there has to be. I get that they're independent freelancers and they're independent contractors, and I get that there is always going to be the internet trolls, but there has to be a level of decorum when you're engaging with a potential reader, because every one of those people. Now, granted, an internet troll is an internet troll, and sometimes an internet troll needs to be put in his place. But there's you literally write words for a living. You can't come up with a better, more eloquent insult than "eat a bag of bleeps."
Well, also, I mean, that in that context, that whole situation, there was no reason to act that way.
Yeah.
I think
No.
so. No.
So-
Oh God, you can't
Real
hear
quick,
me still. I forgot.
JR, they're wanting you to review Superior Foes in the chats on Spider History.
Probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not a Spider-Man. Well, it's not a Spider-Man title.
Yes, it is. Spider-Man's in it.
Oh, whoa. Superior Foes. Are you talking about Spencer's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read it? Have you read it?
No.
You haven't read it? Oh, wow.
No, it's
Are you
not
not
about Spider-Man.
Well, Spider-Man's
Yeah,
one of the
JR, it's up on Unlimited. You should give it a spin.
So,
Yeah.
I would like to
Yeah.
bring
Look,
this.
You forget that you're talking to a very
Can you guys
old,
hear me?
narrow-minded grump. You know,
No,
so
I
it's
know.
like I'm not going to talk about it.
Here, let me get to more of these bullet points. Let's see.
Sure.
Delayed digital, which I don't think anybody wants that.
No, that's a bad idea.
Titles that are going to be delayed for more than 2 weeks past the solicitation on sale date cannot be listed on
the final cutoff.
what's F final what is
Final
that?
Final
cutoff.
order cutoff.
Yeah, final order cutoff. I see. The thing is, though, is that sometimes even Marvel and DC might not know how far it's going to be delayed.
And this also extends to the other big publishers like Image and Boom.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Late shipping
But yeah, the
product
big
should be
two are chief among
returnable.
them.
Yeah.
Any product that changes to a higher price after being solicited gets mandatory returnability. Why doesn't
I agree.
Marvel get
I agree with
returnability?
that.
Is it because they don't want to lose the cost of printing it?
Well, also, it's something that DC did during Rebirth and then went back on for whatever reason after.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the idea that, they don't have to deal with all this extra stuff in their warehouses after they ship it off to Diamond.
Line of dollar comic books with original content from publishers that drive the bus.
Yes.
Oh, because
Okay.
those
Yeah.
Marvel and DC dollar books
This is
sell.
this is an idea I had with Sean. I was talking to him after the extended delay was announced, that why manga is doing so well in the US, not just in print but in digital, is that they have a subscription model with Shonen Jump. So what would work is if you had it. Also, they need to reduce the price of digital, because $3.99 for print I understand, but
I agree with that.
if you had a subscription model for
That wouldn't that hurt it?
But-
Wouldn't that hurt
but-
retailers?
but no, but like we said, if they're already buying on digital, they're not going to go back to physical, and vice versa.
Also, too, there was. I mean, and I think they still do it, because I don't pay attention when I'm reading it. But for a while, whenever there was a Marvel Now title, it would have a QR code for you to get the digital copy for free.
They
For a
still
long
do that.
time
They
it
still
was
do.
that
Yeah.
way,
They
yes.
still do it.
Exactly.
Well,
So-
they have one that you type in, but it's effectively the same practice, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm so forgiving on Marvel for that high price point, because I'm essentially getting 2 books for the same price.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I do think in terms of that, so I think if you're getting digital only, it would make sense. Or maybe even something in the app, or something on the website, that when you go to buy it, it says, "Hey, do you have this code for the free copy?"
Yeah.
Maybe reminding people that it is in the physical copy could also, if that's something that some retailers are really, really upset about, that's something that the big, Comixology and everybody, they could do to promote buying a physical copy. But
But
Well, counter
increments.
argument for a second here. Sorry,
Mhm.
Neil. I know I'm cutting you off. I can't hear you. I will tell you right now. I still have the Marvel Adventures Spider-Man
Mhm.
and the Marvel Age Spider-Man floppies, and I'll probably give those to my daughter first. And
Neil,
I gotta fly. I'm
well,
sorry.
you're like Karate
Like-
Kid. You need some chopsticks.
because I think that they're in the spirit of the original comics, and I'll have her read the original comics. Don't misunderstand, but I think that we've had these all ages books before, and they didn't
Mhm.
sell well. And
Well,
if this was specifically for the non-direct market, I can understand still publishing them. But in the direct market, they just don't sell, and so therefore there's no reason. Or here's a thought, Marvel. I mean, cut your line in half, see what happens. You'll still probably maintain your market share.
Yeah.
But
Or even up it.
it's like the only thing that Alan Fine cares about is winning the market share battle, and I'm like, it's because you have a million books out there.
Along with what Zach's talking about is fresh blood.
Yeah.
Promo for kids and teens, and he explained the comic. Large portion of
Well-
the public have no idea fresh stories are coming out every Wednesday. They think we're selling the same books.
Well, sort of. But hi,
kinda hard.
I am a child of the '90s that was a part of something that was a promotion for kids and teens to get into the comic concept, and Marvel decided that did not sell and dropped it at. They tried to drop it as soon as they could, multiple times.
as soon as they could
Spider-Girl,
justify it. Yeah.
And the thing is, and then they rebranded it and they redid with Ultimate, making it edgier and cooler and whatever.
Yeah.
And because I distinctly remember these promos, and I don't know. It's the thing is promotions aimed at new readers generally does not continue unless there is good content inside. And that's the thing, is that maybe we need to focus on creating good content, solid content that everyone can read. We need to go back to the basics, keep it simple. Like, that's
and I'll say
my
this.
main thing.
Getting back into Walmarts and Targets is something that I think needs to happen. And
Well, DC's
that's
been in
But they
Walmart.
are.
Yeah.
Something else.
I haven't, like, when I was a kid, I remember
God.
walking into my old school Walmart. This was pre-Super Center days. Walking into my old school Walmart, right there in the action figure aisle, on the end cap was comics, and
Yeah.
it was the latest issues. And that's where before I started going to Walden Books, that's where I was getting a lot of my issues. That's where I picked up my first issues of Nightwing when with the Chuck Dixon Nightwing run started. And that's where I picked up, all those other, a lot of like Spider-Girl. That's where I first saw Spider-Girl was on the rack at Walmart. So I think that
it was never.
Well, again, I have
it wasn't like mass distributed in Walmart, but they still were at my Walmart. They were actually getting Spider-Girl and Spider-Man. So, like, to me, you already have a great opportunity. It's just they've got to get the distribution outside, and I haven't seen it in my Walmarts with DC, so I can't speak to that.
If you go where the Pokemon cards are, there's these little they can be 3-packs and 6-packs, and they're mainly DC comics, and they're sitting there and nobody ever knows that they're there. I've seen stacks upon stacks on stacks where like Walmart kept getting them in and nobody was buying them because they didn't know where they were. Yeah.
Right.
And I have somewhat of a unique perspective on this because I think I've mentioned before I work at Target, so I have a intimate awareness of what we stock, and Target is actually in the business of doing trade paperbacks. Like, and I wish it wasn't like timed specifically for movies, but like when Captain Marvel first came out, we had the Margaret Stoll run in trade format on the shelf there, and that same thing applied when we were in Avengers Endgame. So it's not as if we aren't selling comics there, but I think it's depending on which format we're using and how aggressively we're pushing that merchandise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me go back. We're almost done with the document.
But I mentioned
weekly series are 100%. What's a weekly series?
like just a series that publishes every week.
What
Yeah.
name one?
Exactly.
They're doing one for IDW. It's a Star Wars Clone Wars Adventures comic. That's gonna be
Yeah.
Frequency of new titles defaults to monthly for the first 3 issues. This allows retailers to find the ceiling. Afterwards, go twice monthly if the publisher chooses to do so. I can understand that.
Yeah.
Always seek to increase market share for the companies that need the direct market to stay in business. That means evenly distributed and diverse market would only strengthen the marketplace.
This one I talked about earlier. I was talking about like going like a digital subscription model. Like if you took like if you paid Comixology like $2.99 a month, right? And like in increments, like you could pay as many payments of $2.99 as you want, like a humble bundle. But every $2.99 you got, you could pay for like 5 issues of that week's new or that month's releases.
I feel like so just thinking logically, I feel like the big comic book publishers would not agree to that. They might agree to $2.99 per issue as a deal if you are buying like up to 5 issues
In
like
bulk.
that. So yeah, so like it would be $15 a month.
Here's the actual Google Doc that
something.
the comic publishers or comic stores are working on.
Part of the problem is that manga is absolutely dominating in the US. Like in terms of like
yeah.
the overall book market share, they control more or less 60% of that graphic novel market share. And the problem isn't like just like some people will pin it on like, oh, the SJWs are ruining Western comics, manga's dominating. It is also a point of distribution and how they are effectively selling their market share both physically and digitally. And that's the problem that the Western companies have failed to realize.
This one says you should have the actors who play the superheroes hold the comics up, asking viewers to support their comics at the local shops.
Well, some of them,
but they do. Like Benedict
Cumberbatch on their social medias, they do.
Benedict Cumberbatch was Benedict Cumberbatch.
I see.
Oh, he can't hear me.
I remember Tom Holland did that on his Instagram.
Like Benedict Cumberbatch on set of Doctor Strange was reading the Jason Aaron run, and Brie Larson was reading the first trade of Kelly Sue DeConnick's Captain Marvel run.
Same with Andrew Garfield.
They legitimately
do it.
In fact, if I'm not mistaken, a lot of times they're given those comic books
to study
for research and to study. And then not to mention, I know during the run of Black Panther, there was a person on set buying comic books for writers. So like it was on the actors' writers for certain comic books, and they were going around the comic book stores in Atlanta looking for certain issues. So they are doing it, and I do believe, like especially on Twitter, that the actors are promoting the books. They're just not promoting new books. And I don't necessarily think that they have to. Like,
but they should be reprinting the ones
I remember buying those 25th
Yeah.
anniversary slushy Star Trek cups.
Yeah.
From 7-Eleven. I remember buying those.
But one thing I'll say, Brad, look, movie theaters right now are trying desperately to find other streams of revenue. And I see all the time, like in my small town theater, they want local businesses to promote. And look, if you're a comic shop, it's on you to take a portion of your money advertising and say, hey, can I put an ad right before the big budget superhero movie? Can you give me a discount for the amount of screens that we're going to have it on? And say, I just want to try to promote something that's absolutely positively related to the movie. Can I do that? And that's going to be up to the individual comic shops to do that. You can't sit there and demand that Marvel and DC and Image do that. That's not something that they need. That they're going to sit there and balk at that. What needs to happen is that those individual shops need to go to those movie theaters and say, look, because right now digital, with all the billboard, I mean, you see it all the time now with all the LCD and LED billboards that are up now. Here's the thing: the front end cost of those is pretty expensive, but they pay for themselves because you can put 30, 40, 50 advertisements on that particular display however long you can do it. And it's going to be up there for a while, and then you can use those for digital marketing on your websites. You can use it digital marketing on your social medias. So trying to get the publishers to promote your stuff, your stores is asinine. That part was I think that last bit I was like, that doesn't make any sense. You need to you got to put 5%, 10% into your advertising budget. And if you don't have an advertising budget, you're not being a very good business owner.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say from this article, it feels like it's very much written, like I said from the beginning, about that kind of, there's a certain culture in certain comic book stores, which I will say a lot of times it has changed. It's definitely changed. I can remember it. I literally can remember being told that Spider-Girl was a baby comic and I'm a baby. And if I'm not reading big boy stuff, I'm a fake geek girl, whatever. I was also 11, so that guy needed to calm down. But
it's terrible,
dude. He was like 16, and whatever. It didn't bug me then. It doesn't bug me now. It's just, it is something that I do remember, and that's like a lot of other people do have this stuff, like have these stories, regardless if they're female, male, etc. There was a very cliquey culture in especially the early 2000s, and I think that really, really hurt comic book stores individually. And the thing just from a retail level. And the thing is, this is definitely written by somebody who doesn't see that maybe they need to change their tactics in the store to self-promote their store first and then go up. Because the thing is yeah, this is going to hurt. This hurts everybody. It's not even just the comic book industry. This entire situation is literally...
It's going to kill entire platforms.
Yeah, and the thing is I really want my comic books, my local comic book shop to do well. I want everybody's local comic book store to do well, because that's, where I grew up. Even if I have some bad memories, I have a lot of great memories. And I want that for my nephew. I want that, for my friends, like the people that are just now getting into comic books, like Sarah. Sarah's just now reading into comic books. I want her to have I want her to still have that comic book store experience.
In other news, I don't know. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
In other news, I want your reactions to this. Spider-Man teaching self-defense for kids. All right, let's take a look.
I wish I could do that.
But
one day.
All right.
I don't know how long you guys want to go, but let's take a look at this.
I had a point I wanted to make. But
go ahead.
Yes.
Part of the problem is that Kelly has pointed the workplace culture has changed over the course of...
Okay, I got a feeling this is going to be a Spider News topic, and you're going to make me watch it.
Neil's talking, Zach.
It's fine. But it's also like it's I guess I don't want to say battered housewife mentality, because that's borderline offensive. But part of the problem is that it's a mutual problem. While it's on the LCS to advertise their own installation, it is also on the publishers and by proxy Diamond to advertise their books. And because they outsource through Diamond and don't work directly with the retailers, no one knows what the products are. And that's why, like, who here knows what happened with Kelly Sue DeConnick with Captain Marvel?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I think I know a little bit, but I keep talking.
So what happened was that Marvel, like, for all their touting of like wanting to promote their female characters, they didn't market Captain Marvel at all.
No,
and so Kelly Sue DeConnick took money out of her own pocket to advertise they rely on the creators and their social media accounts to promote the book, and that's why, like, Jerry Dugan telling his fans to eat phallic symbols is so bad, because like he's the only source of people wanting to buy like Marauders and Cable. He is their only outlet for that advertisement. And if Marvel went ahead and like advertised their books both to the retailers that are selling them as well as broader audiences and the internet is a big platform to advertise on, it would both alleviate the pressure of creators to advertise their own content and also create a probably less toxic workplace.
I can agree that I do think Marvel and DC need to do a better job at marketing. At one time, you could go... I mean, of course, this goes back to like Media Play and Suncoast and FYEs and stuff like that. Like there were actual like posters and there were advertisements for comic books. And some people, equate that with the newsstand and go, oh, well, if there's not a newsstand, there's no reason to. There is still a reason. And it does hurt the comic book stores by them not promoting. But the thing is, too, I look at it as a budget standpoint, and generally marketing is the first thing to go in certain situations. So I kind of understand that when that went away, and then they kind of realized that the comic books still held steady, like sales still has held steady. It makes sense on why they're not focusing on it. I do kind of wish that places, since it's now Disney and WB and they know the power of marketing, they should focus on it. But let's be fair, they bought these not for the comic books.
With it.
They bought it for the rights, so they can use the rights in pop culture media in the way that they would like to, and that's really it. And that's the only thing that is kind of a safe part of it in terms of like comics kind of will always be there, but eventually comics is going to turn into a form of marketing.
As opposed to its own art form.
Yes,
Kelly,
exactly.
Kelly, do you remember those new 52 commercials?
Oh yeah, actually,
Like-
you know what's a fun commercial? The Boom Studios Power Ranger Fractured, the
Yeah.
alternative. Yeah, those were fun. Like where they got Jason David Frank and everything.
But
It was fun.
Okay,
Anyway.
but so,
I actually
here's a counter argument in terms of that the marketing. Okay, here's the thing: if they would run on Disney XD, Disney Channel, ABC, all even having an advertisement for when you click on the Marvel like banner in Disney Plus saying support your local comic shop, that would go a long way. To me, if they would have a banner advertisement for Marvel Unlimited, that would go a long way. But right now, there's no talking between. There's these walls, and some of that's on purpose because of like Perlmutter. But there needs to be a little bit of crosstalk. And I get from a certain standpoint what they're trying to say, but in the local level, they have to do the advertising themselves.
So,
All right, I've got a reaction video for Kelly. I'm changing the topic. Are you ready, Kelly?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. This is Taekwondo kickboxing with Spider Girl. I want to hear your two thoughts.
I mean, hey,
Great
look,
kick.
that was an amazing kick. I'm down for this. I just,
You hate the pink suit.
I do kind of hate the pink suit, but I understand that,
sick moot. What the hell?
look, that was probably like $10 on eBay. I get it. Like,
she could kick all of our butts, though.
she really
Not me.
could. I have a red belt in Taekwondo that I got as a child.
Wow.
So
Wait.
I'm like, heck yeah.
So yeah, I'm a black belt first degree.
Well,
so.
this is why, like, you've seen my kicking photos. I've got a great stance.
Yeah.
I can't do any of these flips and stuff, and I'm really rusty. But yeah,
JR,
no.
what kind of belt you got? JCPenney?
Actually, Coles.
Coles.
I was gonna say.
I got
No
JC
one
Penney,
goes
my
to
bad.
J.C. Penney's anymore.
I was gonna say Macy's or Sears, considering Jr.
Oh. Are they going to fight?
Oh,
Oh, there's
All right.
trash talk.
no.
My money's on
This-
her.
This looks
My
like
money's on her. Get
this
it.
looks like one of those videos where it's
Brad,
like Spider-Man and Elsa,
Oh yeah.
Promise.
and they have like a needle going in their butt in the thumbnail.
Yes. I'm very I'm. She
Where's the
did that
gun?
without wires, guys. Hold on.
That's pretty
Ew.
Oh
cool.
God. Oh wow.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay. All right.
All right, I think I'm done today. folks.
Spider-Man wanders onto a porno.
Sorry,
Bye,
JR.
JR.
Yeah.
All right, JR's out. Yeah,
Bye,
goodbye.
JR.
Hey,
F.
Brad, I was going to say myself. Neil, Neil, talk for me, just because maybe now I can hear you.
No.
Neil.
Oh, I'm
Wait,
still
hang
letting
on.
the video play. Look what
Could he
happens.
hear?
They make
hear-
up.
Ah,
Oh. All right.
From
So,
Kelly's perspective, that's
anyway,
incestuous.
Brad, I promised.
It
I
is.
promised to Sarah that I would go
Okay.
hang out with her and my mom. So
That's cool.
from El
Okay.
Paso.
Yeah.
Good
I
night.
should probably wrap it up too. How about you guys?
bye.
Well,
Yeah.
It's been fun, but it's done.
Yeah.
before
We
we
should-
go, Brad.
Yo.
Funko
The
Pop of
random
day.
Funko Pops. Let's see what. Let me
Yes.
full screen you.
Oh.
Let me see what you got.
Crypto the
Super
Dog.
Dog. Oh, give
Yeah.
me a second one. I'm not a
Hey,
fan of that one.
hang on.
Give me one more.
Yeah.
Hobby,
All
I got a
right.
Give me one
question.
more.
Let's see
Hobby,
if we can
question. Have they done a
Marvel one randomly.
Have they done a Comet the Super Horse one?
All right.
I don't think so.
What do we
Oh
got? What do we
no,
got?
no, no. Let's not
Oh,
talk about
Daniel
the Super
Craig.
Horse.
Is that Daniel Craig?
I
Yeah.
think so, yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's better. I like that one.
There we
What about
go.
I
Streak?
like
What
that
about
one.
Streaky?
I'm
the
excited for
Super-
no Time to Die. So
Adam says no
Yeah.
Googling tonight. Okay.
Right?
I'll do one Google. Okay, one Google.
All right,
One
No.
Google.
Brad, I'm
Ad-
out.
I
what
gotta
would you
work
like
in
me
the
to Google
morning.
Spider-Man wise tonight? I'll do one real quick.
Just okay. Hang on.
all right,
I've got an
guys.
idea.
Audience should
Audience,
pick
ask
the
me,
Google.
ask me what you want me to
watch
Google.
this
I'll do it.
later.
All right.
All right.
All right. See you,
Good night,
Zach.
guys. I got to go too.
All right. See you,
Okay,
Ollie.
bye.
Night. Have fun.
It's up to Kelly and I to keep
Right,
Brad.
it's the
saying-
youngins. It's
All I
the
do
young
is type
ones.
Spider-Man funny up on YouTube.
Okay.
That's
Okay, so
comedy subjective.
Yeah. I also hope because I feel like I kind of took over that situation.
Google
but
GOG. Okay. Let's.
No,
I
you're
grew up
fine.
I grew up in a comic book store, and that's like all I can remember between like the trauma of the Spider Girl. Is it canceled? Is it not? And I have
No, yeah.
opinions on.
I totally understand that because that was kind of where a lot of my formative years were
Mhm.
in terms of like I grew up with comics in that store, in the store that I almost worked for them for a bit before COVID took over.
Mhm.
So I have opinions on that, and it's also kind of where it's gonna sound cringe, but it's kind of where I got woke, I guess.
Got woke.
Yeah, I got woke and I went broke.
Got woke and went broke. There.
Yeah, makes
The
sense.
alliteration's great.
Yeah. No, I.
Not much funny GOG stuff out there.
Oh man.
Because
I
he's
mean-
only had like 3 appearances over the
that's-
course of.
That's
That's
the crawl
us.
space. Let's see. What else do you want me to Google? Google Boomerang's old Jack Kirby costume. Okay,
There
I'll
you
do that.
go.
Oh my god, it's a.
How many
Wasn't it-
viewers do we still have?
We have
22.
20,
20. Yay.
19.
Okay, now
Oh,
everyone's
that's
leaving.
hideous.
Sorry, guys.
That's the hero machine.
Oh. Boomerang
Wait,
Jack
yeah.
Kirby Marvel, maybe. Well,
I think that's a different boomerang, but before it became Fred Myers.
oh, here
Like,
it is.
you know how they have
I
like.
think that's it.
I
Tales
remember
for
it being,
Astonished
I remember it being
81.
different.
Is this it?
That's. Oh my god.
I mean, that's sure something.
Oh
That
my
is
god.
something. What else do you want me to Google?
Let's see. What do they have in here?
Excuse me.
Where was
Bless
I?
you.
Okay, so Adam asks, where was I when I got woke? In college.
Google Spider Ass. Okay.
Well, I mean, make sure your
No.
safe search is on.
Then we get links to
Spider-Man
Pornhub.
ass.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my. Oh my.
That's
Wow.
it's not America's ass, but it'll do in a pinch.
What the?
All right,
That's
that's
an
cool.
inflatable. Oh my god.
Spider-Man, dummy thick.
There you
Nah.
go. There you go.
All
There's
right.
Spider but whoa, hello.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Safe search needs
Safe
to be
search.
I don't think I
on.
have-
Search.
Whoa.
Safe
whoa.
search.
Sorry.
No, you're going the wrong way.
What's this?
Ah,
Oh, oh, yeah. Let's
Oh no.
go back. Oh, let's not go. Oh
I
no.
think-
Oh.
Oh my god. You should have just gone to the top.
think
and
this
Googled.
is. I think this is. This is the limit. I think at this point, that's.
Adam says he's trying to web swing, but he's too dummy thick.
Oh. All right.
That's the spider poop shoot. Okay.
Okay.
Gross.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well,
That's,
we
that's
ended
gonna
there.
be in my nightmares.
Also, one
guys.
minute before we leave,
Okay.
I'm gonna plug myself. I did the 6 artists fan
Yeah.
challenge, and it's Spider-Man related. Hang
Okay.
on. I drew Anti-Venom. Yeah, it was Symbio. It was by Symbio Bros request.
There you
Yeah.
Invincible, Megatron, Pink Guy,
Mhm.
Rayla from the Dragon Prince, and Hybrid, like the original Hybrid from I
Ah.
believe it
Nice.
was the symbiote era.
Yeah.
Like before, yeah. So I just figured I'd plug myself on that one because I have nothing better to do other than show my art.
No,
Google
it's good.
spider thwipping. Okay.
There we go. Okay, that sounds
Okay.
safer.
There's gonna be porn there.
Oh, I mean, look, there's
There
porn
you go.
everywhere. That's why the safe search needs to always be
Yep.
on.
Do I have a safe? Where do I find my safe search? Because I don't want to show that on the screen. Settings. Here we go. Search settings.
It was up at the top. It
Safe search
says
filters.
turn-
Safe search filters.
click-
Yeah.
Turn
Click
on
right
safe
here.
search. There you go. Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay. So let me go back. Spider-Man thwipping. Here we go. Oh,
God, that Silver Sable design looks awful.
Oh well, oops.
that Peter Parker
'cause
is
that's-
so ugly. Oh,
I'm not a fan of that animation. Speaking
That-
of which,
That
like,
one's for kids. I'm fine with
yeah.
that. Yeah. That's
Speak-
that Ghost Spider design is garish.
yeah. Speaking of which,
Ooh, that's
my nephew is obsessed with Spider-Man Unlimited right now, and I remember watching it when I was like 9 and thinking it was the stupidest thing.
Are you talking about the one that came after the 90s?
Yeah, the one that was like very clearly weirdly
It was
like
Venom
time
and Carnage.
travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it was. Yeah, so I've watched up to the first 8 episodes now
Oh wow.
under quarantine, and I don't understand.
Matt, I don't think I can do audio,
Yeah,
but I don't know. Can I do audio?
I don't know.
Here, I'll just go to YouTube. Well, this is something I search for all the time, which is Spider-Man
Okay.
songs.
Okay, yeah.
For
Okay,
the
I think I
intro.
just died.
Like, can you
Oh
hear?
no,
Can you hear this?
Oh,
Can you guys hear that?
no.
Okay. Okay, I can.
why are we watching?
Well, bye, Walter.
Bye, Walter. Can't really do audio.
Yeah. I don't know
Um,
if Spidey Unlimited appeared during Spider-Verse. If he did,
Possibly.
I did not. Yeah, possibly. I just didn't notice it.
Yeah.
Or pay attention. There, in all fairness, there's like
What's
like
Spider-Man
blinders on
news?
me when I see that there's Mayday and 2 in Spider-Verse. I was angry for most of
I
it.
think you mentioned this one. I think you mentioned that's one of the few times you've ever been like legit angry at a comic, and not
Yeah.
just we talk like we hype up our anger, but we're not actually angry.
Yeah. No,
That's
no.
one of the few times.
It really like killing it. My whole thing was it was like killing him off is generic and kind of
Holy
boring.
crap!
Oh man. So like in that sense, like yeah, totally kill her dad.
Oh, that's cute.
That's not shocking, but it's how it was done that was just upsetting.
Like I remember you talked on Facebook about how the second Spider-Verse movie was gonna have like Annie or Mayday.
Yeah.
I made a point that like anyone's like no one cared, but people liked Miles, but like it was the movie that endeared a lot of people, especially people who were already burned out from the comics. That's where
Yeah.
they really began to enjoy Miles. And I've said before that like if you give characters like Silk a new origin, then it's really easy to make them endeared to her as a character instead of what we know her as.
Did you guys see this meme? Well,
Oh yeah.
that
Yep.
meme's pretty funny.
Spider-Man is a fetus. I mean,
Yes.
Tom Holland is a fetus, so
Yes.
it's already predicting a little
true.
early.
It's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my whole thing is like I think that if Mayday is ever in it, and to a degree Annie, because I do kind of think Annie probably will be, just for the fact that Marvel seems, well, sort of.
They don't even want to push her.
Well, lately they have been pushing Mayday. Like they've been pushing, hey, Spider on Marvel Unlimited, we have Spider Girl. Go read
I'm talking
Go
about
read
Annie.
it.
I'm talking
Oh
about
wait,
Annie,
no,
not Mayday.
exactly. And well, that's what I was about to say, because it's like my reaction to constantly being
No, Italian Spider-Man. Yes.
Yeah, McNulty wants to know. Yeah.
well, no, so like the whole thing is like I can remember, especially back with Renew Your Vows, they wanted to kind of make you forget. They're like, hey, that's not canon, that's not a thing, but look at this newer writer that we have in our pocket.
This new shiny Mayday.
And it didn't
It's
work.
redhead.
And it didn't work. And I mean, it's just because it felt done before, because it had been done before.
Yeah.
So Adam's also asking if Annie has appeared since Renew Your Vows. I'm not sure if that was the question you were answering.
Yeah.
but
Okay. So Annie has appeared since Renew Your Vows. She was last
once
seen
in
in
Spider-Verse, right?
Yeah.
Well, she was so like they ended Renew Your Vows in Spider-Geddon, and follow with that Spider-Girls miniseries in the last issue of Spider-Geddon. Then she has the last little Spider-Verse mini
Yeah,
was
that's what I
all
was
about
thinking of.
going to find her, and she is in the last issue of that. She kind of got caught in the web as the new weave maker. I'm not sure if she's like new Madam Web or what's going on with that. But that's kind of how they have ended that. And then we talked about this what was it, last night? Was I on last night and talked about like the last time we saw Mayday was...
Yeah, we talked about that the other night.
Yeah, so at some point we've done a lot of shows in the last few days.
Also an idea for a podcast, but since we're in a bit of a content drought, I would be willing to host it. We do Italian Spider-Man, like a commentary on it.
Wow. Matt actually has a question for me. He says, "What are you planning on doing in place of review shows for the time being? Good, got to keep the podcast going. It's one of the best sources of entertainment on the net." We kind of talked about that earlier. JR is still going to do Spider History. We're still going to do Fight Club. I imagine there'll still be news. I just did a Diamond thing. That could have been news.
We need something to replace satellites, though, at least for this month, because that's what people are paying for is satellites.
Kelly's got board games, Spider-Man board games.
I do have Mad Libs.
I'd be willing to do that. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we can totally do it. I don't necessarily know if I want to do every single one like the Google form, because that does take a little time. But
I mean, we're here, so.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm meaning more like it's an easier flow for an episode if we call them out and then I just write them down and read them.
Oh yeah, that'd be fine.
So
I think we should call it. What do y'all think?
I think so
for the best.
too. Yeah.
All right.
Are we gonna make this into 2 separate episodes?
No, this was just talking.
Yeah.
Right after the review. The review went about an hour, and this was.
Yeah.
I just wanted your opinions on this. I thought it'd be interesting with the 30 now 20 people that was online.
Oh yeah.
Well, they want us to do Quippage. If you guys know how to play it, I'm game. I don't know how to do it.
We'd have to do it
with our cell phones.
No, we all use cell phones. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of the best way to share that, because I think the easiest way would, Brad, for you would have to download the game and it would have to be on stream for us to do that. So that's I don't know, because
maybe I could
fun.
have my phone as one of the 6 boxes.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Well, no, you can have, so like the way the game is played, everybody can sign into the certain code. So like you'd give every guest the code to play, and we'd all sign in on our phones, and then someone would have to stream it so we could all see it.
Oh.
Like
okay.
us in the audience.
We'd
so
have to practice that, so.
Yeah, and I don't know if it'd make a good like podcast episode, like Mad Libs or something that's more
I kind of like your Mad Libs. I think that's really fun when we read those out. That was fun. All right, you two, it's been fun. And also you 18 people now, they're leaving also.
Yeah, bye guys.
All right, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.
And I'm going to end the broadcast.